Hello?
Hey, good afternoon.
Hi
How
there.
are you and everyone?
Doing okay. I'm a little underslept, but I'm managing.
I mean, that's par for the course, honestly.
It's
Oh,
a little more than usual because of my own volition, but just making a hard read. I said, "You know what? Just in case,
just
let
in
me
case.
let me start and finish Ava 3+1 last night." So I started it at like 2 a.m. or 3 a.m.
Mm-hmm.
and finished it at like 6.
Wait, is it like 3 hours long?
It's two and a bit.
Well, that's okay.
So I just wanted to make sure, in case anything came up. But I understand that nothing will come up.
That's right.
Okay.
This podcast's
All right.
long-standing Evangelion fan has not seen the new movie.
Okay. Well, then we'll get into that whenever the fuck that happens then.
Here's hoping.
Mm-hmm. Do you want to hear any like outside, just casual?
Is it good? Is it a good movie?
Better than last movie?
Well, that might be the easiest compliment you could ever make about this film.
Better than last movie.
I've said it before about 3.3, which is like I appreciate somebody making a movie about how much he hates the people watching the movie right up until the point where it becomes a bad movie.
So, this is taking what 3.3 gave you and, just giving it some closure. It's got some good closure. But I don't want to say too much else. I do still like, and this is something that I think we were talking about 3.3, and we'll keep it on the surface and move off. But like a lot of those 3.3 designs are not my favorites.
No.
I'm not a huge fan of the way a lot of those characters look in that movie. And
I got a question for you. You remember the end of 3.3 where they did the next time on whatever? Is any of that shit even in this movie?
oh,
Because
I
none
didn't
of the 2 stuff was in 3.
I didn't go back to check. I did recaps, but I didn't go back to check the next time on stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But that being said, like taking everything that I disliked about the third movie, and using that as a like, well, this is a basis, this is a setting, this is what's going on. As a whole, yeah, I thought this has some pretty good stuff in it. There's like the negatives are negatives that are holdovers from the last movie, and
Sure.
the secondary negatives are just like questions that I have that might have answers that I didn't pick up on.
Yeah.
I
I'll
did
let
watch
you know
it.
in 3 weeks.
Yeah, I did watch it late, and I did, have to perk up with some caffeine. But there was some stuff that I was like, I don't know why that happened, but okay,
So
you know.
the experience you're describing is why I have not seen it yet, because before every single new piece of Evangelion media comes out, I rewatch all of the existing pieces of Evangelion
Oh
media,
boy. Okay. Well,
which has become a longer and longer process over
yeah,
time that can
yeah.
be occasionally hamstrung by certain things.
Okay. Do you enjoy that process?
I love that process.
Oh, okay. All right. As long as you enjoy it. As long as you enjoy it.
I've rewatched the 26 episode run like every 2 years since I was like 11. Wait, no. In 12? And
I
every time there's some detail that I'm like, oh, cool.
I realize personally that like there's two ways you can watch the rebuilds. You know, like one way is when you're watching it for the first time is to just watch it as a movie and see what happens and then think about it later.
Mm-hmm.
And then the second way is to watch it and with every moment go, but what does Hideaki mean?
Yeah, no, I'm not super fond of that, honestly.
It's not a great way to watch.
I'll take that away at the end when it's all percolating in the head.
Exactly.
What was meant I think by probably this? The best example is for whatever reason, it was on my third rewatch when I was like 17 or something, where I finally figured out what the deal with that dude's hand was. Because for whatever reason, I didn't fully grasp what was happening when it was shown on screen.
Okay.
And I'm like, oh, cool.
Well, yeah. Then we'll get back to that, you know, when the time comes. Really great music. Really, really fun listening. Okay. Well, besides the conclusion...
Aside from that movie...
of this lifelong franchise.
Oh, do you feel like Anno's done with Ava after this?
I definitely feel that.
That's what he said last time.
I know. But I actually feel like closure.
Yeah.
This time. Yeah. Definitely. But who knows?
Right up until more razors
until he wants to torture himself.
Coffee needs to be sold.
Yeah. Well, anyway, that aside, and you know, speaking of music, it is my pleasure and delight to inform everybody within earshot that 2 Mellows Memories of Tokyo Toe Future has officially dropped.
Oh, it's finally out?
It is out as of last fucking night. And I highly encourage everybody go take a peep to the sequel to Memories of Tokyo Toe and listen to what Mellow the God has cooked up for us this time.
I'm going to go listen to that album.
You should do that. And before you ask anything about it and the previous album and how it feels, I'm going to let you know right off the bat, I need another 10 listens of it for it to really get in to tell you how I feel. But
okay. So I'm going to ask you an inverted negative question.
Okay.
Did you feel listening to it, ew, smelly?
I did not feel ew, smelly.
Did you listen to it and say, oh man, I am wasting my time with this bad music?
I did not think I was wasting my time with this bad music.
All right, good enough. The anti-review is complete.
There you go.
I will continue to go check it out.
Yeah. I'm gonna need to let it percolate in the soul for a bit, but it's a fucking hot one. It's super great.
You just said you couldn't talk about it, so 10 more listens.
Great. It's super great. It's super great. It's super.
No, I think the discussion you probably don't want to have until you've listened to it 100 times is whether or not it's better or worse than the last.
That's
album.
exactly what I mean. There's no question that it's a fucking banger. You know, track after track, but what I really mean is the comparison is like it needs to sit and percolate in the soul a little bit. That being said, fucking go peep that shit. Support 2 Mellow and and perk up your ears, and you might hear a familiar voice for a second if you are eagle-eared, if that makes any sense.
You? Well, now we can't take anything you say about the album like at face value
I
because
know.
you've been compromised.
Compromised. Vested interest. Just perk up.
Oh my goodness.
Perk up and listen to the album, and maybe you might find something. You know. Anyway.
I'm exhausted. I don't even know why. The dog let me sleep in today. Isn't that... I mean, I don't even set an alarm anymore, by the way. The dog will tell me when it's time to wake up because he needs to piss. And for literally the first day in like 60 days, he let me sleep in and now I'm tired. I don't understand.
When you say let you, like, it almost sounds like it's a conscious decision.
Yeah, no, it is. He knows what he's doing.
Okay.
He absolutely knows what he's doing.
Letting you off the hook.
So aside from a movie you can't talk about and an album you can't talk about, what did you do?
Well, I mean, no, it's I definitely know the album's fantastic. But what's perfect is as I'm about to be gone for a while, there will be ample opportunity to listen to it in different settings, which is what I often like to do.
Such an aeroplane and field.
Yeah, exactly. Walking about, doing work, transit. These are all different environments to listen to an album you enjoy in. And, some of them have different feelings depending on what's going on around you. I can definitely say that the optimal activity to be participating in while listening to this album would be skating and graffitiing. Yeah,
obviously.
Perhaps even spraying a cop on their back on the ground,
I don't think that's what you should be doing while listening to this particular album in this particular time, specifically over your next 3 weeks.
Perhaps not.
That seems like it could become more of an incident than you are bargaining for.
Yeah, but that's the activity that you feel you should be doing,
I think, and I'm sure there's other people that will agree with me, but it's not the optimal way to listen to an album, but it is definitely the best way to listen to an album over and over and over and over, which is to turn off in-game audio and blast the volume while you hit some nightmare grind in game of your choice and go, listen, if I had to grind all this stupid crap in 14 over 3 days by itself, I would kill myself. But what if there was a nice album in the background to take my mind off of it?
I mean, it's either that or you hit the streets, you start skating around, you attack, or you skate around a cop after spraying some shit, and then they chase you. And then you remember that as long as you're skating at full speed and you boost, you can't get shot. And then you skate away at full speed, and you're hearing jet set, jet set, jet set, and then a bullet pierces your chest from the back. And
I was about to say, this very much I was boosting. I had full boost, though.
Yeah.
No, don't do that.
Just the smooth
I'm going to tell you guys
Professor
right now,
K to guide
if you're
you
going
to the
be
afterlife.
rollerblading and messing with the police, you want your headphones off so you can have full situational awareness of oncoming traffic as you make your escape.
It'd be a good idea. Anyway, so that aside, well, I can tell you what I did. We booted up some fighting games and took a look at what was going on.
Get the fuck out of here! Really?
I know, right? So,
shut up. That's crazy.
Oro and Akira are out.
They came out at the same time?
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
So, Oro is pretty much what you'd like to see of him in this game. He's, got all the bells and whistles he had in the past and some improvements. He's got a lot of throwback combos and things that work. He's got new utility. Overall, I can see him being a pretty good character because, like, his Tengu Stone is really good. Like, his ability to just, like, mix you up. His double jump is there. They've nerfed the double jump. It's not, like, a full second hop. It's more of, like, a levitation now.
But he's in Street Fighter V, so...
Exactly. It's still a really good thing to have anything that stops your air momentum.
I saw people doing, like, stupid Oro shit that looked, like, really similar to stupid Third Strike Oro shit. And I'm like, but he's doing it in Street Fighter V.
Yeah.
That doesn't seem like the kind of bullshit that that game's systems would allow.
You can still do, like, his medium punch launcher into the kicks, and then relaunch, kick, uppercut, and then if you've got your, like, grab active, you could do the grab at the end of the uppercut, things like that. So yeah, he's cool. The turtle is great for the animations. It's fun to see him, like, toss it up and catch it, as a use of his second hand, to still be restricted in one way. So that's fun. And Akira is so cool. So cool. But, oh, man. Her limbs are stubby.
Oh, no!
She doesn't reach very far. And it feels like you're going to have to work really hard to be good with her.
It's such a interesting thing, because when you think about Street Fighter characters specifically, you want your character to be deformed compared to a regular person, because the length of, like, their legs is, like, so important.
Yeah. And just so she's really like, everything she's doing is cool, but you're like, man, like, her walk speed is good, but, like, yeah, she whiffs a lot of buttons, and I feel like you have to the fun version of the character you want to play is the one that has the launcher and the one that calls in Daigo, right? This is the rival school's version of the character you want to play. But it feels as if if you pick that, you're going to have a hard time with, like, anyone who's zoning you out really effectively with, like, fireballs and things like that. So, like, you'd probably have to pick her other skill, which is not the launcher, to get the most out of the character. So, I guess I feel like, but I'm not, but I'm not 100% sure. Like, I'm just going on the initial, like, taking a look at it, but I haven't seen what top players are doing. So maybe they've figured out some shit that, like, I and they're making it all work. But yeah, just my initial feeling from a quick little sesh was that her stubby limbs felt like every time I wanted to, like, whiff punish something or just press a button in neutral and kind of do things, you're like, oh man, you got to really walk in there. You got to get a lot closer,
I just want, like, I just want a new rival schools game. That's all I really want to say.
Yeah. No, of course. That's definitely. But I definitely, I feel as if when I see like the nonsense that, like, characters like Abigail can do at his size with his
I love Abigail
and the tire and all that shit, I kind of look at it and I go, like, man, like, what is she to do in the circumstance like that? I guess just walk fast and use frame traps. Like, she feels like the kind of character that's like, You know, a bit of a Faye Long style, like move quickly, frame trap your opponent, blow them up with your you know, faster buttons as opposed to like reach. But in any case, that's how it is for now. But yeah, we'll have to see where she goes. More rival schools in any way, shape, or form, please, 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 please.
Preferably in the form of rival schools. That being said, I don't know. I feel like Capcom's fighting game division is like their part that has the highest peaks and the lowest valleys from year to year. We released 3 or 4. Wow! Oh, nothing for 5 years.
Yeah.
Over and over.
Well, it used to be more consistent when it was their like primary focus, and then it has not been their primary focus for a long time now. You know, so yeah. The other thing, of course, was checking out.
Luke isn't out, right?
Not out yet.
Okay, so he'd be like probably the last one to come out.
Exactly. Not sure when, but this is the reason why I kind of got blindsided by Biken, is because I when I see a new character get announced for anything, Street Fighter V has conditioned me to just be like, okay, cool, don't think about it for months, it'll show up eventually.
Right.
And it turned out
was like what, 2 days?
And then she was out, and I was like, oh fuck, so I had to swerve the schedule a bit, and yeah, took a look at what was going on with that, and I gotta say, yeah, like they put the full character in. They took away a couple things, but you know, most of it's all there. You're just playing like a version of the character that has no air dashes, you know, that has no Roman cancels. But
Samurai Showdown tells you that you're not allowed to do air dashes. It's not allowed. You can't do it.
But she still has air shit. She's got, you know, the Yozansen and the cannon, and you can still do a lot, you know. And it's a great conversion of the character. She's pretty cool. She's obviously, for her style of play, it fits extremely well into a game where everyone has a parry, you know. Everyone has a deflect.
Her guard point stuff makes a lot more sense in that context.
It does. And she gets the default parry in addition to her special one, you know. The funniest thing is disarming her and then watching her catch a blade with one hand. It's like, it makes no fucking sense, but don't think about it. I guess like
she's got really strong fingers.
Well, there's a panel I saw from Grappler Backy where a dude catches a blade with one hand as well, and he just, between the thumb and index.
Well, I don't even want the idea that you would be like, I don't know how someone would do that, and then say, well, in Grappler Backy, I saw.
Yeah.
I seen a lot of things in Grappler Backy. I seen a guy with 4,000 bones or whatever the fuck is going on with that shit.
Yeah. No. Grappler Backy needs to read an anatomy book and then throw it out and burn it. Fuck that. Extra muscles that don't exist mean you're more powerful. We know this.
I don't. The guy that like vomits the grenade is just like, it's comparatively tame to something else, but I look at it and I'm like, you can't eat a grenade.
Now, to be fair, I also do mix it up with Kengan Ashura a couple times, because that's the other super buff fight dude's thing. But yeah, anyway, all that to say that she's pretty dope, and they had a couple of little like nice detail flourishes. Like when you do her story mode, there's a narrator that like, you know, explains everyone's prologue and epilogue, and in this case, the prologue and epilogue he gives for her is the exact same as the poem that's read in her intro and outro in Rev 2.
Oh, okay.
So if you remember in Exerd, when Biken intros and outros, she walks through a field and like a poem is being recited in the background, and it's an
Wooly,
old.
I totally remember.
Okay, well, it's a cool little thing is they throw back to that with her. Her rival battle is unfortunately brand versus brand, so it's her versus Maru, as opposed to the more obvious and clear pick, Darlie, which is, hey, you're a tough bitch, let's fight, you know?
Why is that the obvious pick? Is it because it's the characters that you like?
No, it's because they're the same archetype. The energy is pretty close. But there's a little bit of dialogue.
Super wrong. It's because you like them.
Okay, they're not both tough bitch characters then. Like they have lines and shit that sound pretty similar at times. They have you know, a big aggro vibe as opposed to
she should be playing against Ukyo because they're both disabled. And he's like, do you think what's he got? He's got the old, he's got the anime mom disease, right? He's got, what's it called? It's the cough, you die. What is it?
Tuberculosis?
Yeah, he's got the tuberculosis, and she only got the one arm.
Yeah. Anyway, so, but regardless, the there's just no way to be objective when I like when Wooly likes things. I can't say anything in an objective way. It's over.
I mean, that's literally the case with everyone.
Yeah. So, but like I literally just anyway. Fuck it. Literally fuck it. Stop talking.
No, you have to keep talking.
Okay.
It's gonna be really awkward.
Okay.
If you stop talking.
So I mean, who's got similar energy?
Nakaruru.
Okay, there you go. That's the one. It should be angry, tough samurai girl, and Hime, shrine princess.
There it is. Bam, done.
Totally.
Excellent.
Okay.
Actually, I would probably say it should be Haomaru because they're both like
samurai.
The samurai, like the base samurai of their game.
I mean, she would, if it was Genjiro, it would be a better fit because it would be like the angry part of it.
And he's got red hair as well. Well, she's
but here's the thing. Baiken's pretty happy in Sam's show. She smiles a lot.
Well, she doesn't have to deal with Angie. She
well,
doesn't have to deal with all the fuck freaks in
more
Guilty
important
Gear.
than that, she's in Japan.
Oh yeah, that exists.
Yeah. So in one part of the ending, she's sitting at a tea house just listening to some random dudes just drinking tea and talking shit and being, you know, in old Japan, and
Alive.
She's like, yeah. So she's walking around her country that she's on a revenge quest because it was fucking destroyed, you know. So it's like, okay, then yeah, I guess she'd be smiling, sure, you know. Otherwise she's still tough, but like, you know, you're seeing her being a lot more like, yeah, you know. So I you can take that as your headcanon if you'd like. I will. But that's a good inclusion. She's dope. And yeah, and I also got like it's cool to hear. I like when like you kind of go to a game where there's like a guest character and they're like, you know what, we're just gonna give her a brand new theme song. They didn't put.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't Rokumon. It wasn't Solitary Life. It was just a brand new song, and it's a fucking banger. It's great. it's a super good like samurai feeling, you know, but like, you know, power fucking metal and rock shit going on, and you're like, yeah, no, that's a Baiken theme, you know, interesting. Excuse me, Momentary Life, not Solitary Life. Yeah, it was like, okay, I'm down with that. I have no complaints, you know. So that's cool.
Is there any attempt to be like she fell through a portal, or is it just like Biken's here?
Yeah, no, she just, she wound up in a distant land. Whatever.
Did Soul Calibur have a in-universe reason for like Darth Vader?
Wasn't it all portals? It was all portals.
I feel like it was portals.
It was all portals, and like in Heihashi's case, it was time travel, and then like, Witcher hates the portals. I think it was always portals.
That one was a slam dunk, though. That like, Geralt notably hates portals.
Yeah, I think that's the explanation for every one of those. And Ezio and 2B pass each other on the way through.
I forgot that he was in Soul Calibur, and like both in Soul Calibur and in Monster Hunter crossovers, it's literally like almost the first thing he says upon entering the shot, which is, I fucking hate portals. Because in Monster Hunter, he just falls out of the fucking sky. At the same thing.
Okay, so which do you prefer? Do you prefer a dumb portal opens up and the character you love falls through it going, why am I here? What is this land? Or do you prefer Spartan 313? I'm a character in universe that just happens to look exactly like the one you know.
I'm going to say most of the time I'll prefer the portal because it's just more honest. There's attempts at integration can be very awkward. Like now that the Nier quest line in 14 is over, right, and fully done, like it was not integrated all that well into 14's existing stuff. It might have actually integrated better if there was just a big portal, which is weird because there was just a big portal.
Okay. But like the story outside of that game is about things crashing together, though, right? Like, there's other examples in lore of like realities like smushing.
Oh yeah, there's 14 different dimensions, and then there's extraterrestrials. You can do all sorts of stupid shit.
Yeah. Okay. Because yeah, it's I mean, not many people go for that kind of like portal-less version of a guest character. Where it's like, no, they just literally happen to live in this universe or in this world. They're here now, but it was
Spartan
always
313 the Dead or Alive character.
Yeah, I think so. I might be getting that wrong.
that one was fucking stupid.
It's just
that should have been a portal, man. Like, man,
there's a Halo here, but yeah.
She was fun to play as, but
at the end of the day, you're playing a fighting game, and look, it's a Master Chief. Like the effect ends up being pretty much the same, anyways. But yeah, you don't think too hard about it.
I think Akuma's is probably my favorite version of I was here the whole time.
Yeah, that is the best one. That is the best one. It's like, not only was I here the whole time, I was integral to the plot.
And you're like, what? And then Akuma tells you to shut up.
Yeah, so the high school that Asuka is going to with her friend is right down the fucking block from the rival school's high, because
right there,
Akuma and Sakura exist in the same worlds, and they also exist in the rival school worlds, and they're all the same Japan, and that's what it was.
So what a lot of people didn't know is that in the background of Street Fighter 4, Jin Kazama was fighting a global world war in order to unleash the power of some kind of ice dragon. It was just out of frame. It was just one. You just turn your head on the India stage. Oh man, there's fucking Mishima soldiers everywhere.
Or maybe whenever people are like getting into their world-saving plots, it's not really that big of a deal. It's just their own local area that's in danger, and nothing is really global, and everyone is just over-exaggerating all the time.
I think Like, could you imagine if Mortal Kombat and SF finally did that crossover after all these decades, and they have to try and explain why nobody on the Street Fighter roster was ever called to the Earthrealm tournament?
Yeah, we just picked other people. What?
Yeah, we were looking down the list, and
it's like the Olympics. They don't always pick the best pros. They pick the amateurs on the circuit that are pretty good.
like, I just had a brain thought, which was, oh well, most of the Street Fighter cast are unwilling to kill people, and then I'm like, but then all the villains and Akuma and all them gangs would have been shoo-ins
For the tournament, yes. But no.
Akuma would have loved to chop Goro's head off.
Yeah. Well, I think it's going to be Portals for the foreseeable future.
Hooray!
And that's what lets all your Super Robot Wars and shit happen, is just, realities, whatever. Don't worry about it. You were called for a purpose. Do the thing.
That reminds me. I don't know if it's counted as news, but did you just see the breaking fucking Magic the Gathering news?
I did not.
They're gonna start printing new cards as a crossover between Street Fighter and Fortnite for Magic the Gathering sets.
What?
And they're gonna be entered into like the standard the standard play rotation. So you can't ignore it. It's there. And Lord of the Rings, get out of here. Oh my god. The Magic nerds are very upset.
Does Magic usually have like guest cards that are part of the... Okay. Well,
oh, Fortnite. We'll talk about you later.
Yeah. Well, that's pretty much it. I mean, a lot of my time otherwise is getting ready and getting busy. So, if you would, however, like to tune in to some cool video games, you can check out the Wooly Versus channel. We got currently going Kuzunoha Raido Kuzunoha versus the Soulless Army. Why do I always say it backwards? It's because that's how the series was introduced to me. Shmup God Pat
by Weebs
introduced it to me that way, and when I first heard it, that's what my friends would call it. So then I just got used to saying.
He was probably playing it in Japanese.
He probably was playing it in Japanese.
Yeah, okay, that would make so. Yeah, just weeb time.
But that's why, if you're wondering why I say the last name first, it's because that's how the game was literally introduced to me for a while.
How you liking it, by the way?
I really, really, really like it a lot. It's a whole lot of fun. It's pretty cool with the characters so far. I love the extreme Kaneko of every character that shows up. Extreme Kaneko-ness. And the battle system, has a couple of things that I'm sure get smoothed over in the second game. But it's fun.
This exact same thing going on with its combat that Yakuza 1 to Yakuza 2 does, where they just make it so that blocking and dodging are more responsive. Pretty much that's the main change between both those series. And then you play the second one, you're like, oh man, oh thank goodness. To those of you, by the way, wondering what the term Kaneko means, Wooly is referring to the long-standing artist Kaneko, who draws most of the SMT stuff and loves thick black eyeliner on everybody.
And very pale characters.
Absurdly so.
Everyone has to look kind of powdered undead.
Yeah, a little bit.
So that's a lot of fun, as well as seeing hey, is that fucking Rasputin showing up out of nowhere? Yes, it is.
I'm gonna say maybe it is.
Chillin', just part of the story.
There's a real energy of fuck it, whatever.
Yeah,
going on with that game.
well, considering the cameos that are appear in SMT in general as a whole, like it's not surprising, but it is like, well, okay, if I can stomach Stephen Hawking and make sense of that, then sure. Rasputin fucking left. He Machiavellied himself in Russia. He went to World Heroes Jet, and then he wound up in Japan.
Yeah, he just showed up. Hey, it's me. I'm a magic Russian man. My dick is huge.
It's always fun to kind of see the classic demons and go through the compendium, and I'm showing Reggie, some of them as you go, and you're like, oh shit, yeah, it's you, so yeah, just overall fucking solid ass PS2.
I really like that game.
Yeah, I think we're about like halfway through it at this point. So not too.
Wow,
long.
that's way faster through it than I would have expected.
It's moving,
Oh, so you mentioned that stuff's going to keep going up during your honeymoon on the Woolly verses, but you weren't super clear the last time I spoke to you about what those plans actually were.
Well,
what is going to be going up on the Woolly verses?
Well, I mean, there's still more. There's still more of that and Disco Elysium to put out. I made plans to try and record an LP. I don't think it's gonna happen. It's gonna take longer than I thought, and it might not come to fruition in the time between now and then, unfortunately. I wanted to surprise everybody with something cool, but
can you type what it is to me in Discord so I know what it is?
No, I'll just say it. I mean, it's fine.
Okay.
I was going to try and do a sequel LP and get ourselves some Jet Set Radio Future on the channel in perfect timing with the Too Mellow album drop. And we're gonna pull it all together and have a little fucking grind and spray fest. But it's while we were able to do the first game in one sitting, it's a much longer game. It's a little bit harder to get that done.
Is that what you wanted to say?
What? Oh, spray and grind fest?
Is that what you wanted to say?
Hey, we spraying and we grinding, all right? That's what we do. That's what the GGs do.
Jesus Lord. All right.
Anyways, so that was my intention, and it's unfortunately just it's a much longer, bigger game than I remembered, and it's much longer than the original. And so yeah, I don't think that's gonna be able to happen before I leave, but it'll definitely happen when I get back. So,
bummer.
But that's what the plan was. Yeah, because it's like what fucking better time, What better time than with such a good album to
What better time than now? I'll tell you. 3 weeks from now, that's a better time.
I suppose so.
Because that's the time it'll happen.
Yep. So yeah, you can tune in though for all that fun stuff over on Woolly Versus, and fighting games as well. We got those things dropping, and yeah, we're gonna take that break. I'm gonna disappear for a couple weeks. I'm gonna get hitched, and I'm gonna enjoy it, and then I'll be back to you guys in late September. That's the plan.
Hooray. Well, I hope you enjoy your time off.
Thank you. How about you?
Not having to worry about this crap.
Yeah. There was
all these people.
There was since it rarely ever happens, like Punch Bomb was like, so like, are you gonna do the podcast or during the thing? And I was like fuck no, because she's like, oh, because she was half expecting it because I've done it on vacation before.
We've done it in Japan.
Exactly.
Both of us have done it in Japan, for example.
Yeah, but and it's, admittedly you have to like sit, when your time zones are different and you have to sit and coordinate the whole thing. It's trickier than it sounds, but I kind of go like, well, I'll just, I'll take a moment and update people on what's going on and blah, 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 blah. But in this particular case, I'm just like, yeah, no, fuck that. Let life happen.
Mind. I'll just stream an extra fucking day a week because this makes no fucking difference to me.
Let life happen. So yeah, how about you?
Well, I want to talk about 12 minutes for a couple reasons. One, I beat it in a single sitting. Two, it's not 12 minutes long.
Okay.
So that game's title is a lie. It is not 12 minutes long. Also, the time period of this game is really weird in that it is the 4th time loop mystery game I have played in very recent times. I was talking about Forgotten City recently, which I beat a bunch. That game's great. That is a time loop mystery. 12 minutes is a time loop mystery.
Okay. Now I remember the initial reveal for this looking really cool just because of the camera perspective.
Yeah, the camera perspective is nice. I really like the game's presentation.
It's top
visually.
Top view, yeah. And I want to say Ocarina of Time 3-point perspective, because the center of the screen is the vanishing point for all the walls, so everything is always creating all the walls are doing perfect diagonals to the center of the screen.
Yeah, it looks nice and it's clean, and there are it's your apartment and it's not a particularly big apartment, so you get real used to the inside of that apartment quite quickly. It is much more of a classic style adventure game than the other ones that you and I have played. Okay. It wants you to do specific things in a specific order and use the specific item on this specific thing to go forward. And for a large proportion of those solutions, there is a necessariness to a trial and error. You are not going to be able to intuit what people are going to do in scenes when you fuck with them. There's some that are obvious, like if you drug this person, they'll fall asleep, right? But you can't quite understand how that'll play out in the future. So you are meant to poke at it and see what happens and then take your clues and go forward. Playing through 12 minutes and seeing people talk about 12 minutes is fascinating, because I had a very different experience with it than many, which is many people are put off by the game's almost absurdly dark content. It is you do bad things in that game and it plays it real straight and real ugly.
Okay.
And it feels miserable in the same way some David Cage games can feel miserable, right? In that the characters are being subjected to misery for the purpose of emotions, and you're watching or doing it. And what I discovered is that I have changed some opinions, and I've gotten caught being kind of a hypocrite on some opinions, on sequels or whatever. But there's one opinion that I kept all these years later. Do you remember our argument as to whether or not time ethics exist?
I do remember the argument happening. I don't remember the contents of the argument, but I do remember, yes, the discussion.
My opinion on that was that there is no such thing as time ethics, because if you change it, whatever, it didn't happen. What I discovered playing 12 minutes is that I have totally internalized that and feel nothing or even a curious glee in doing horrible, horrible bad things that will go away in a second or two because of a time loop.
But will they go away, or will they continue on their own path?
They will, in fact, go away. So the rules are pretty simple. If you get beat up or killed, you loop. After 12 minutes, you loop. If you try and leave the room, you loop. Right? I don't know why, but I kept thinking that horribly murdering your wife with a knife was gonna unlock something. So I only was able to figure this out later when I was looking over clips in the chat where
clip it
like bit after bit after bit after bit, I've screwed up the loop. I didn't get the order of operations right. And so like I either horribly slit my own throat or stab the wife to death and try and figure out something. And everyone in the chat is like screaming, just walk out the door. like you can just walk out the door.
I see.
Like if you screwed it up, oh, and so I'm sitting there with like dead wife on the floor, and the blood pools real nice. Like seeing if like something will trigger if you eat your dessert at the table with your dead wife there, and no, nothing happened. But like the game understands its own tone, so it has prepared you for this. So attempt 1 of killing the wife, your character's real shaky and doesn't want to do it, but then you make them do it and they stab the wife and it's very upsetting. And then the second one is more confident, and the third one more confident still, until you get like 4 or 5 wife kills in and he just goes, hey honey, and just like a side slash on the throat, and it takes like 1 second.
Okay.
But there's no... So I had a more violent experience than many others because, like, I tortured the guy, I killed my wife, I killed myself about a dozen times, etc. And upon eventually finding, like, the right path through, there's no way to get through that game without doing some of those horrible things. Like, you absolutely must kill and torture a couple people in a really violent, graphic way.
Otherwise, you can't escape.
And then, otherwise, you can't figure out the details that you need to know. And then the ending is, like, viciously depressing. And it's just like a feel bad game that none of the feel bads hit me because of the time loop thing. So most people get sick of the mechanic because it keeps asking you to try out new horrible things. Whereas me, I like the mechanic, but I didn't get any of the emotional impact off of anything because the mechanic took away my internal responsibility. So I feel like it almost can't work. Either the mechanic's miserable because it makes you feel bad, or you don't feel anything, and then you don't feel anything. On top of that, I don't think, like, you may remember this was like shown off as like, dude, James McAvoy and Daisy Ridley and Willem Dafoe.
Yeah. True. They did do that. Yeah.
And I don't think that they needed to have those actors because they do a fine job, but the game's not like dramatic enough that it would have made like much of a difference. You could have easily had like some good voice actors, and it would have done absolutely the same job.
Well, someone
Like
called in some favors.
Like Willem Dafoe is a great actor, and he's good as this guy, but he doesn't have a, how do I put this? He doesn't have a moment where he starts to fucking go, "I'm fucking acting."
Mm-hmm.
Like he doesn't get
there's no
that.
Die Hard man.
Yeah. So
Okay.
it's just like, okay. It's a weird game. And if I had to make like one genuine complaint that isn't about like how mean its fucking content is and how you have to keep repeating it, it's that the solutions, like your puzzle solutions, which are almost always finding out new information to skip parts of it, are inscrutable. Like you're gonna have to trial and error your way through them. Like it's not a puzzle game in that, like, what if I did this and then I did this?
Okay. So the picture you're painting for me right now is of a game where the only way through some of the challenges is to do horrible things, and in other cases you just open the door. But when it's horrible things and otherwise you're stuck in a time loop, then you have a character that like does horrible things to get out of the time loop, and then the escaping of this of this trap requires committing to the timeline bad things that have been done. Therefore, there's always a bad path, but there was no choice in the matter.
Well,
So
no,
that
there's
I
can't go into.
Yeah, I understand. Don't elaborate.
No.
No, for sure. But I'm like, if you made a game that was like, there's this, you have to do 5 Willy Pete scenes in a row, otherwise you can't leave the time loop, and then you get an ending that's like, you did them, now live in this world, and it's like, well, what the fuck are you supposed to feel about that? So
now people are correctly pointing out that killing your wife is actually never a progression point. There's a small spoiler for you. You never have to kill your wife once. But you do have to do other bad things to your wife, or let your wife get horribly electrocuted or whatever, just to find shit out that's going on. So there's no way to tell which bad actions will get you more and which horrible nightmare actions will just lead to a dead end.
So what you're saying is play it on the honeymoon.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, that'd be a great honeymoon game. The other thing, and I don't know if I should count it against it, but I will, is that, and people can back me up on this, it's true, I verbalized this. I took about 4 hours to beat that game and was able to correctly deduce 90% of the game's plot, including the big twist, within the first hour.
Was this by use of a scattershot plot gun?
No.
Okay.
It was the worst. So I was talking to Paige about this. And there's 2 ways that you can guess a plot, really. One is you have paid really close attention and you've put together disparate details and then reached a conclusion, like the Sherlock Holmes method, right? Mm-hmm. It's like, hey, that guy said he was in the bar, and then someone said that the bar is where they, and you just put together the clues and get there, which is the way a mystery is supposed to be guessed if you're able to guess it, right? That's the good way. The bad way is where you are able to deduce a plot because of its structure. So, for example, watching a Law and Order episode, when they catch the criminal within 12 minutes of the beginning of the Law and Order episode, you immediately go, they're going to throw out the evidence because of some clerical error by the police, and then the rest of the plot is going to be McCoy arguing with judges about how to get a new crime in. And sure enough, that happens. You didn't guess that from the clues. You guessed it based off of the structure.
Right.
Right? The structure of the way the game parcels out details to you makes it really clear to me anyway where it's going to go. And it's not me picking the clues out. It's you told me about this at this point in the story, which means this has to relate to this, even though I have no proof, and therefore this and that and this and this and that. And sure enough,
it ends up unintentionally showing its hand. I know what you mean. Yeah. Okay.
Right? Like, if you were watching a murder mystery and the camera made a show of pointing out that somebody was carrying a gun.
Or even like a room full of people reacting to something, and then it shows you one person sipping their drink and looking away, like, sure.
And you're like, oh, that's the guy. It's him.
Sure.
It's like it didn't give you any clues. They just structurally accidentally told you what it was. So I don't know. I'm torn on it. I had a good time with it, but I don't think it's that good.
Okay.
Like kind of thing.
Now the other way to do it, which is the third route you didn't explain, is the try as you might. You literally don't have enough information to figure this out because we did not tell you everything there was to know.
Alternatively, we lied.
We lied / like you could not have known there was another character you've never met with a history.
What you're saying is this is the Japanese mystery method of this guy was here the whole time. You didn't see him.
You couldn't have possibly. It's not just Japan though. Like there's more than a couple shit examples of that.
I'm thinking when I say they lie, I'm thinking of 13 Sentinels, where like the game just lies to you about certain things in order to keep its mystery going.
There's that, and then you could also do it really well, like other recent games. But in any case, though, there's good examples of like we know you're trying to figure this out, and we've made it deliberately impossible. In fact, in Danganronpa, because the whole series is about figuring out what happened on the crime scene,
right.
there are moments where it's like, oh, you cannot possibly solve this crime. You don't have the information, but it's like sit here and rack your brain though for a while until it's like, nope, can't solve it.
I'm just thinking of Heavy Rain right now, actually, where they just explicitly lie to you to make sure that you can't guess it, because if they didn't lie to you, you would guess it right away.
Anyway.
Oh my goodness. But yeah, so 12 minutes. Don't know. Like, I had fun, but I probably wouldn't tell people it's great. I would. And I also, and this is an older game, I talked about playing Prey a bunch last week. I beat it. I beat Prey 2017.
Did you beat it before?
And I did not.
Okay.
So before I only got like maybe 2-3 hours in, and now I went through the whole like 25-hour thing. It's stellar. It's absolutely stellar. It's my favorite immersive sim, which is a term, you fucking freaks. I only like, it's easier to talk about the things I didn't like because it's so stellar. Like the level design is A+, and the skill set and interaction with the game world is absolutely excellent. The only real issues I have is that enemies respawn constantly, and they're on I don't know what to call it. I'm sure you've encountered this, where, like you're walking around a game world and enemies don't respawn, and no matter how long you take, they won't respawn until you fucking do something.
You walk past a checkpoint and trigger it.
You walk past a checkpoint, you complete a quest or whatever, and then they respawn. In Prey, it genuinely feels like every world state or quest completion respawns some enemy somewhere, which makes it so that like you'll like exhaustively clear out a zone only to return 25 minutes later and there's dudes walking around again, and you're like, fuck. God damn it.
You can never sprint with confidence when you're backtracking.
Never. And on top of that, the actual enemies that you're dealing with are not that interesting. They're called the Typhon, and the mimics, which I've talked about at length, are fantastic as chairs and bottles, but all the other enemies are, I'm a shadow tentacle phantom man, or I'm a shadow tentacle floating thing, or I'm a shadow box that holds turrets, and they're all just kind of like visually uninteresting.
So as a connoisseur of the survival horror genre, and as someone who I would consider a Resident Evil expert, how do you feel about like the best way to clear zones and still have threats present? Do you like the idea of, I cleared all the zombos, I know the ones that are down are still down, but when I trigger this puzzle, the liquor shows up?
Okay, so this is like a, oh my god, this is actually a really complicated question.
But what's the most fun version of this?
What's the
do you want to run back through the police station with confidence, or do you want to be on your toes?
The most fun version ever is Resident Evil 1's. And I literally just looked over and saw somebody in the chat say it perfectly, which is never respawn the same enemies. Okay. So in Resident Evil 1, you do the mansion, and the mansion is 85-90% populated by zombies.
Not remake, by the way.
Yeah, I'm talking about RE1, all the way back in the day.
Okay.
You deal with the zombies, maybe some dogs, right? You go to the guardhouse, and the guardhouse is its own separate section that has zombies, but it also has the plant, and it has some sharks, whatever. You come back to the house, and now most zombies are gone. There's a couple left, but they've been replaced by hunters. And more importantly, the trip to the guardhouse is like a definitive, like, act moving forward. You completely left the mansion. You've been gone in the mansion for a while. And now you've come back maybe an hour or two later, and the enemy layout is different. So going through the mansion as that portion of the game, as Act 1, when you've cleared it, you've cleared it, and you've cleared it. And coming back to it, no, suddenly there's something new. And if you didn't get the enemies before, the new ones will have replaced them.
Okay.
Right? So when you played Remake 2, there's a part where you get to go to the sewers and go back to the police station. And in that case, zombies have been shuffled, and also liquors have been put into new locations, and that's nice. In Prey, the issue is the game's space is very large, and you're dealing with Mimic, 3 types of phantoms, but they're visually very similar. So Mimic, Phantom, Weaver, and then the box floating ones, which are Technopath and Telepath. So you're really only dealing with 4 enemy types total, right? There's some variation in between them, but it's 4. And so you'll clear out the lobby, and then you'll head to Psychotronics, and then you'll head to the Guts, and then you'll head to the Arboretum, and you'll get back to the lobby, and there are more phantoms. And then you'll leave the lobby to go back to the Arboretum to hit crew quarters and get back to the lobby, and now there's 2 more phantoms and a Weaver. And that lobby repopulated like 10 times.
Okay.
In my game. And so the issue is that, like, in a Resident Evil game, there's Act 1, Act 2, Act 3, Act 4, right? They're very definitive. In Prey, you're doing Neuromod Division, Lobby, Psychotronics, Hardware Labs, Guts, Arboretum, Crew Quarters, Power Plant, Power Supply, Shuttle Bay, Life Support, Power Plant, Water Treatment. Like, there are 15 disparate zones, and you can go to them in any order, which is great, but it means that there is not a really obvious shift point to repopulate the old areas.
Okay. So it's open-ended, and that creates part of that issue, because what you're describing in RE1 is, yes, that is an optimal design decision where you design backtracking as progress. You make the path back in through where you went actually is new progress, there's new challenges, new enemies, and things like that. I know that, like, I mean, it was ultimately fine, but like in Batman, like how when you come back to the main hub room of whatever zone you're in, there's gonna be a new group of enemies going like, oh, this time around Joker says do this,
And that's fine, because the difference is that in your immersive sim or your horror game, what you're dealing with is that every single enemy encounter costs. It costs ammunition, it costs health, it costs time, it costs something. So, like, Hardware Labs is a really good example. You go to Hardware Labs as, like, the second area in the game, and then you can go back there to enter into a hidden room, and then you can go back there a third time to open the airlock, and then go around the station. You can go back a fourth time to do a satellite. So I went back there maybe 4 or 5 times. Every single time I went back into Hardware Labs, there were new enemies. Every single time I went back into Hardware Labs, I had something new to fight. Comparatively, for some reason, I went back into Psychotronics a couple times and only found new enemies there once. And I ran into this issue where it's like, I have dealt with this enemy, Phantom specifically, it's the most common enemy type, in this spot like 6 times. And what am I doing? I'm stunning it with a spell and then shotgunning it once and it's dead. And the issue, I think, is that in Prey, you're scrounging constantly. You're picking up banana peels and apples and ammo and every little bits and piece to manufacture for crafting or ammunition. And when I beat the game with like over 100 shotgun rounds, hundreds of pistol rounds, like over 1,000 stun gun rounds, over 1,000 beam rounds, and I ended up manufacturing 222 neuromods, which are the level up currency. Just manufactured them by the hundreds, and was drowning in resources. And if those guys were not respawning, I would have been double, triple drowning in those resources. So they made a game that like incentivizes you to scrounge with the knowledge that most players aren't going to scrounge that hard, and they need to put enemies in the world to use up that ammunition or use up those resources. Give you a reason
to go scrounging, right?
But the math is off. So like if you ask me like what I would prefer, I would prefer there to be no respawning enemies and 1/10 of all available materials. So that like the most interesting part of a survival horror game is the math equation in a hallway where you go, do I want to use 2 shotgun rounds to put this down so that I never have to worry about this hallway again? And in Prey, you have all the shotgun rounds in the world, and it's not a question. You're going to put it down, but it's also probably going to come back later.
There's respawns. How many times are you going to have to run around this corner?
Right. And it's frustrating. Like, it's this fantastic game with all these incredible systems touching each other and melding in really interesting ways and all these cool little interactions that I'm like, I wish you could just tone it down. Like all of it. I wish I could make the enemies all 5 times as strong and put 2 in every zone. Right?
Yeah,
like just
keep the experience novel while with the challenge,
Right? And increasing the difficulty doesn't look like it would fix it. It just means that you have to scrounge even harder. Like, I cannot possibly see a situation in which I would actually have to start sneaking around and avoiding confrontation instead of dealing with it, because, like, the math doesn't really work out. it says a lot that at the end of the game, I had so many materials left over that I bought all the level ups for sprint speed and stamina and jump height just so that I could run by encounters.
Yeah. I think honestly, you can take a look at the way players behave in examples like Souls games, where it doesn't matter what the difficulty of the enemy is. If it's the same enemy in the same place doing the same thing, I'm going to find a way around it when I'm doing my 9th or 10th run around this corner.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, that whole game becomes memorize the whole thing and then just completely have no encounter here whatsoever, even if it is a hard thing to fight, you know?
It also has an issue where once you learn to manufacture the level up neuromods, sneaking around enemies is a terrible idea anyway, because you use enemy parts to build more level ups.
Okay.
So there's literally never any incentive. By contrast, I'm going to be playing Moon Crash on Wednesday, which is the Prey DLC. That's a roguelike. And it's a roguelike that has the zapping system in it. So it is the same type of first-person perspective scrounging game. But the thing is that they'll give you like characters with specific skill sets that it'll be like, hey, take this guy and get out with the escape pod. And then round 2 is pick a new character and escape a different way because the prisoner escaped on the escape pod. And the wrench that the prisoner picked up outside the starting location is now gone because
so
they
share
picked
the
it
same
up
seed.
And left with it. And the enemies that guy killed are dead.
You share the same seed.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
And you have to do it with 5 characters in a row. So I'm very interested in checking that out because it seems like by changing the format just a little bit, it basically solves my problem because now there's no respawning enemies because there's too many enemies to deal with.
But the 5th person out is going to have a really hard time.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Interesting. That's smart.
Yeah, Prey is an absolutely excellent game. It's easily my favorite of Arcane stuff. They did Dishonored. They did the Dishonored games, and they're putting out Deathloop. And it even has a hidden morality system. Like, I've complained about Dishonored's chaos system for hours because I think giving you an assassin game where they tell you not to use 8 out of 10 tools because they're lethal is a stupid fucking idea. And Prey, it constantly gives you nice little situations that would tickle your moral thing, but like characters will talk shit at you, but like nothing happens. There's a really good one where you find out that there's a shuttle that's going to Earth, and I'm reading an email about a shuttle is going to Earth, and the security are freaking out because they don't know if mimics were on board before it left, and if it gets to Earth, it's all over. You know, it's a pretty typical like situation. And they're talking about how they don't know if they should blow the shuttle up because, you know, is that wrong or what have you. And then I'm reading the email, and I finished reading the email, and then I look over at the computer next to it, and there's a countdown, or there's a real countdown that's at like 3 minutes and 2 seconds counting down of ship's arrival to Seattle. And then there's a big fat button that says blow it up or not. I blew that fucker up. And nobody talked to me on the radio to tell me that I did a good thing or a bad thing. I just said, yeah, fuck him. And like, it does play into like what I would term as the game's post ending, but it's literally a report card. It's not like you've been locked out of ending A or B. It's literally like characters talking to you like, well, you did that and that was pretty fucked up. Okay. I love its little hidden morality system. And looking at, so they're making Deathloop now, which is
Are they making Deathloop?
What's that?
They're making Deathloop.
They're making Deathloop, which is
Deathloop. What
time
is Deathloop?
loop. It's a time loop.
And what console is it available on?
Every PlayStation.
Huh. Perhaps we should walk through the mechanics again and introduce gamers to Deathloop. Have you heard about Deathloop, gamers? What is it about this game that just keeps fucking... I don't know. I don't know what it is, but it just
They're pushing so hard.
Holy fuck, they won't stop.
They are pushing so
Every
hard
single
on
event.
Deathloop.
But have you seen Deathloop, though? Have you seen it?
It's really wild. But the only thing that I want to talk about Deathloop is that Deathloop is way more like Dishonored, and they have fully given up on like non-lethal morality shenanigans.
Okay.
Where it's like every single video of that game is fucking tear ass through it and kill everybody you need to kill to do it. I think one of the Dishonored designers was like had a hard on for like morality through play or something like that, which sounds great on design, but like just sucks shit to play. Did you ever play Deus Ex 1, Wooly? Like the original?
Yeah.
You remember your brother?
For a little bit, though. A little bit.
Oh, no. Okay. So your terrorists take over the Statue of Liberty, and your brother's like, you should try and do this non-lethally, right? And if you kill a bunch of the terrorists, he admonishes you, and he's like, listen, man, you shouldn't have done that. That was bad to do. And like, that's literally the only time anyone tells you like what to do ever in that game for morality. And then you find out that the reason why he told you not to is because he is secretly part of that terrorist organization and didn't want you killing his buddies.
Okay.
And it's like, oh, the only part of the game reaching down its big finger and go, no, 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 was not the game. It was a character's ulterior motive.
It was plot.
So, okay, great.
Clean.
As I've played more and more games of like the 7th gen, I'm like, man, there was like an insane hard-on for morality systems in that era.
Or choose or choose between stealth and guns blazing.
Yeah, it was like the most omnipresent thing.
It's like, okay, how fun is stealth? Am I crawling at the speed of fucking molasses through this entire map? Will they see me on sound? Will they see me on sight? Will it be light-based? Is it a worse game to play if I'm playing it stealthy?
It reminds me of Infamous. You remember Infamous 1, Lightning Man? And the evil playthrough was more fun. But I look at that and I'm like, did you guys just make a game where you got to split half of the powers across a certain way so that people would play the game twice and thus be less likely to sell it as a used game? Like that's what it says to me. Like
replay value is replay value.
Yeah, but it always felt so much like we want to put just enough replay value that we're doubling or tripling the playtime so that they don't sell it.
I mean, but you could ascribe that motivation to anything that adds multiple playthroughs.
I totally could. You're right, but I don't know. It just felt like, it felt like that. The last thing I want to talk about is I'm continuing to go through Mass Effect 3, which is really good. Honestly, I'm very surprised, but I want to talk about a headcanon that I have in my mind. Because I ran into a character called Kai Leng, which you may have seen dank memes about at some point. But Kai Leng feels more than anything I've ever felt in a game as it is an argument between like a designer and a writer about their cool OC.
I've never seen this character before.
Are you looking it up? Are you looking at him right now?
Yeah, he looks like Nightwing.
He looks like he doesn't belong in Mass Effect. So, Kai Leng is a book character from the Mass Effect novels, which are shit, by the way. And they got way shitter after Drew Karpyshyn left. And like somebody sent me a really fun passage about him bugging somebody's house and then stealing their cereal. in
I
which
just-
he is basically built up as like the incredible mega anti fucking shepherd that is the greatest at everything, and he's always like a ninja, and he's such a cool assassin, and he's incredible. Oh wow, he's so cool.
I just saw Kai in quotations pussy Leng. And I don't know what that means.
Piss Stream Sam, Piss Virgil, just and it's kind of wild because the character shows up and attacks you, and there's a scene, right? And
Okay.
the guy is fully cyborg ninja'd out, doesn't look like a Mass Effect character, like straight up.
Mm-hmm.
Holds a samurai sword behind his back, and
Yeah.
Naruto runs around.
I can see it. I see it.
Does like magic space shit that other people don't do, and every time somebody talks about him, they're like, "Oh my god, that assassin! Oh my god, oh jeez, I shot him twice in the leg once, and he just came back pissed off. He's oh my god, oh Kai Leng's the fucking shit." But like everything that he does in the game is pathetic. So like, what is essentially a person dying of cancer sneaks up on him and like beats him up, and like he tries to crash your car and like fails, and like every single time you encounter him, he does all this crazy space Naruto shit and loses. And then you go talk to people who are like, "Man, that assassin was so nuts. Holy shit, you should have seen him when you couldn't see him." And it's like two guys are fighting.
Yeah, okay.
Writing this game.
Okay.
Somebody is like desperate to get their fucking cool OC that they love as the Virgil or the Vegeta of this game, and he's so hot, and they're getting to be in charge of the writing.
Sounds way more like the Vegeta.
And someone who hates him is getting to write scenarios in which they get bitched out and lose. And it's wild. I've never encountered it.
I mean, that is a yeah, like an interesting split. Like just design wise, I think that's the kind of the thing though. Like design wise, if it wasn't such a complete departure, you might be able to like sell the bit. If the game doesn't respect the character, does that mean do the books respect the character?
Oh, the books love the character.
Okay.
He's so cool.
Okay.
So let me paint a picture of the introduction to this character to really like apparently he's a reoccurring sub boss, so he's your rival, but I've only seen him the once. But the first time you encounter him is like so legitimately embarrassing that I cannot believe it. Where he's trying to kill a politician, and you run up on him with your guys and say 3v1, these are bad odds, and he goes, "No, now it's fun," and does a little smirk with his Troy Baker voice because he's Troy Baker.
Oh man!
Then a character.
Oh god!
Then a character who is literally in hospital, dying of like lizard cancer or whatever, who's across town, who calls you and tells you he can't fight because he's hiding in a store, is just there and has snuck up on him and like basically beats him in a hand-to-hand fight, and then later before they die goes, "That dude should be embarrassed that a terminally ill person was able to sneak up on him and beat on him like that." It is a direct line of dialogue. They should be embarrassed.
But he's cool,
ashamed.
though.
They should be ashamed. Sorry, and it's like, what is going on? How is this possibly being built up as a threat?
But look at his cool visor.
It's
oh boy, that's an era.
Weird.
That's an era.
It's so weird.
Okay.
That game is weird. Parts of that game are like super rushed, and parts of that game are absolutely pristine, and you really get the feeling very strongly, because BioWare's writing method at the time before this was the writer would write the basic plot outline, and then they would have all the leads come in, and they would just shoot the shit and figure out what they wanted to do. That stopped happening for 3 specifically. The ending was written with the director and just the new writer. They just banged out a new ending in a week and just brought it out. But it also feels like, because I know all the stupid crap about the ending, and then I'm encountering like the same themes that the ending deals with being dealt with by a better writer.
Okay.
And then I know that the ending is coming, and I'm like, oh, this was totally written by different people. Like, the game's narrative is, like, fractured. I'm starting to understand why people are, like, talked about, like, ignoring the ending, because it is genuinely, like, Game of Thrones, like, somebody is, like, swooping in to ruin it at the last second.
Like off the rails that it was heading towards.
Right.
Yeah,
and
okay.
It's weird. That's a weird game.
Yeah. I don't know, for some reason I'm just thinking about, like, so you get the impression of a character like that, and I remember the first time I think I saw Emil in Halo Reach, and I was like, oh, I really hope he's not that. And then he super wasn't, and you're like, thank God, you know, that it didn't just go down that road. But if it's a character coming from the books and it has its own separate thing, and it's if it's a Dash Rendar or a Star Killer, you know what I mean? Then you're like, yeah, like somebody's probably got a vested interest in making protagonist material that they could use to, like, expand on if it picks up and if everyone likes them enough, you know?
Also, I want to talk about a more general thing with cool villain, which I think is really important. Okay? And I'm going to tie it back to Metal Gear.
Okay.
Right? There is a real danger. It's a fine line to walk. If you make a character that is super cool and has 100 powers and can do everything, and they get beat by your main character who can't do any of that stuff, they stop being cool. Right? So Fortune, you never beat Fortune. Ever. You fight her and you lose every time. So Fortune gets to have her cool moment where she does it for real. The final antagonist of almost every Metal Gear game is some person that's good at punching and kicking and shooting a gun, like your guy, right? Like Psycho Mantis, you cheat to beat Psycho Mantis. You out-of-universe cheat to beat Psycho Mantis, so his stuff maintains. But if you're looking at a character like Kai Leng, who has a samurai sword, has better biotic powers than you, is more accurate with a gun than you, can do crazy flips that the main character can't do, has a whole team of lady ninjas with him, and then loses to your third person. Yeah, he's got a whole team of lady ninjas. They're evil.
Oh, he's got some evil harem ninjas?
Yeah, don't worry about it.
Oh, shit.
Right? And he loses to 7th generation cover shooter shoot man, right? Even in cutscenes, he's all that stupid shit looks try hard. Like there's no way around it. You have to either create a situation where your character cheats or uses an ingenious solution. But if Virgil lost to Lady in a straight fight,
yeah.
Virgil would no longer be cool because he has every advantage in the world.
So I don't think all the rules of the character archetype apply, but there's a similarity here that works if you look at Raiden's journey. But like Raiden starts garbage and then ends up being that guy, and you're like, oh shit, I'm rooting for you because I saw where you started. So now you get to be edgy samurai dude, and we're all here for it, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, fair enough. You can't
and I guess
can't do that.
Like when I trounce Leng in this first encounter, it's not because I discovered a weakness with his visor or what. I just beat him. Right? Like, I'm thinking about Metal Gear Solid. I'm thinking about Revengeance, right? And it's like Sundowner's really tough, but then you find out that his what do you call
Plates.
it? His shield actually has a weakness when you cut around it. Or Mistral is really tough, but if you go for the little dudes, it's like, or there's a in-universe like, I figured out the trick behind them. No, I just beat him. I just beat him because he sucks. I just shot him with my gun.
Yeah.
Thane just punched him a couple times. Apparently, he will be sending me a scrub quote email later in the game.
Oh wow! Like a fuck you. I'm coming back.
Like, yeah, no, fuck you. You
didn't win.
You may have won, but like I'm the shit.
Look at my ninja girls though.
And
oh my god, I've never heard of this character once or seen a picture of him. I'm surprised he's not played up for like
it is
the
wild
epitome
to
of
me
fucking,
because I'm playing
nothing
like,
personal
my chat
kid.
is like mad Mass Effect fans. Like, everybody in the chat when I'm playing it is like crazy about this, and like universal hatred.
Wow.
Like no one is going like, he's cool. Like, zero. Absolutely nothing.
Actual nothing personal kid.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Like, I can send you the fucking goddamn. Let me see if I can find who sent this to me. Is it okay? The thought brought a grim smile to Leng's face as he took a long, slow look around. He was equipped with 12 wireless bugs, each of which had enough power to broadcast a signal for 2 weeks. And they were so small that only an electronic sweep would reveal their presence. Would they conduct such a sweep? It was possible. Anderson was employed by the council, blah, 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 blah. Working with the speed and certainty of the experienced operative that he was, he placed the pickups and locations when taken together would provide complete coverage of the apartment. Then, having placed a wireless tap under the comm console, he was done. Or should have been done. But Leng was something of an adrenaline junkie and enjoyed being where he was. That's why he checked the cupboards, located some cereal, and had breakfast before putting everything back exactly as it had been. It was his apartment now, meaning a place where everything that happened would be known to him and to Cerberus. The thought pleased him, and Leng was still smiling as he left. It's so cringe. It's so cringe.
Oh, they printed fan fiction. Oh no, they printed fan fiction. Oh no. No. That's bad. That's not good. Don't do that. Oh god.
And that's your Virgil.
Leng the Hedgehog.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. 100%.
Oh fuck.
Like I can literally see in my mind's eye a photo of Kai Leng being like, Shepard, you didn't win and I'm not mad, and I'm gonna go home and have sex with my girlfriend to show you how not mad I am. with like fucking Shadow the Hedgehog fucking hair spikes on the back of him.
Jesus fuck. Yeah, okay. There's just
wait, people are saying he does that. Wait. No. There's no way.
There's just like God, that special character cameo aura of like when anything exists and you're looking at it and you're like, they want that person to get a spin-off. That character they're looking at as something that is a potential route towards more money. And like there's just the way the light hits them. You know, the way the world reacts to them in any movie, in any fucking franchise, where you're just like, oh, you're setting it up. We can see it. And it's like, yeah, of course he comes from the books. You know, like there's just, that feeling.
It's really weird because before I had started playing Mass Effect 3, I knew that there was a character named Kai Leng, but nothing else. And then as I'm playing it, people are like getting excited, like getting hate excited. You know the emotion I'm talking about?
Yeah, sure.
And then I'm just watching it, and I'm just like, what is this? Why? Just he's bringing down the vibe of every encounter.
That's incredible. And that is also the fact that it's like there's book tie-ins that are garbage, and this is like the integration into the third. That's also
the Mass Effect book stuff has like a whole like different series of problems.
Right,
I don't know if you remember that they put out like an apology for one of them.
I did not.
Okay, so they put out an apology for the last Mass Effect book to come out, who was written by some new guy. And you played Mass Effect 1, right?
Yes.
Yeah, you did. So, like, that book had Quarians hanging out in casual piecemeal clothing and a Krogan getting shot in his heart and dying, and just, like, non-stop, like, did you even look at it, dude? Like, what are you... like, what?
Wait, was that the first instance of the mask coming off? Tally shit, because that's
no.
Okay,
no.
all right.
But it's just like, what?
Yeah.
It was.
Fuck. It was a no. Oh yes, no. I was gonna say that this is a completely separate topic from all the shit that we were talking about with the game a couple weeks ago. But it's just yet another example of like all the problems of the mid-aughts AAA game. All of them.
I also discovered that the game was, I was talking with people in my chat, and like Mass Effect 3, the game that had like an entire generation of build-up, was actually developed in 14 months.
Oh my god, KOTOR 2.
The better example would actually be Dragon Age 2, which was built in 1 year.
But like 14 months is exactly KOTOR 2. Again.
Yeah.
Wow.
So like, there's like, these little nitpick things in a game that you're like, oh, that's annoying, but it's not so bad. And then before you know it, it's like a huge, huge problem. So in Mass Effect 3, the quest tracker is a little less descriptive. And you're like, oh, that's not so bad. I mean, it's not the end of the world. And then you find out that 85% of side quests in Mass Effect 3 are fetch quests, where you go somewhere and pick up an item and bring it back to somebody.
Mm-hmm.
But the quest tracker doesn't tell you where the person is and doesn't tell you if you have the item.
Fuck.
So I'm looking at like 20 requests for items after I've scraped like most of the game world for items, and going, I don't know if I have that. I don't know where this character is. So every time I go back to the Citadel, I have to make the entire route
to see what's
every NPC you can talk to.
Man.
So I'm looking at
Okay.
a guide for like what order to do missions in, and it has like 5 Citadel trips total, so that you can just maximize like the trip around. And it's like, fuck.
Okay. Yeah. That's all. That is absolutely 14-month problems. I didn't.
And
Fuck.
my absolute favorite mistake. I'm gonna call it a mistake. You have major missions in Mass Effect 3 that kick the act forward, right? And you have everything else, right? Some are multiplayer maps that have been converted into single player maps. Some are side missions. Some are really fantastic big side missions. Some are side missions that you have to do before a certain amount of time, or else they'll fail and you'll get like a bad outcome, right? The main missions that move the story forward are called priority. They're literally stuff like priority Surkesh, priority Tuchanka. So if I wasn't playing this on stream, I would look at that and go, oh, those are timed. I have to do those right away.
Oh.
Where in fact, the priority missions are all the last thing you should do.
Because they're main missions.
Yeah, but it literally says priority. And it's like, fuck!
That's the wrong word. Yeah.
Like, just all these little short... Oh, man, BioWare is so fucked.
Good game, though.
So far. Right up until that... It's weird playing a game like this. Like, wow, I'm having fun. And there's the WrestleMania sign covered in shit way over there. And I'm getting closer to it every day.
Oh man, I'm just looking at Kai Leng poses now.
Oh yeah, right?
I'm looking at these poses and I'm just he's got the fucking arm out and the arm back and the full like he's
sword.
doing it. He's the fucking
I also encountered a bug they kept in for the release, which I'm really glad, where if you wear a certain helmet and turn helmets off, your character's eyes grow to 5 times their normal size.
That's great.
So I have bug-eyed freak shepherd in every cutscene now.
Okay.
And I'm not gonna turn it off. It's great. It's great.
Oh man, this dude's absolutely got a Sharon Gan under that fucking visor.
Just the worst? Isn't he just the worst?
And he's got the glowing biotic hand thing. Yeah.
Oh.
All right.
This is the one. Oh, I found it. I found the pose where he's got like the fucking samurai sword all the way behind him and he's like in a down crouch. Here, I sent it to you.
I think it might be the one I was looking at. Yeah, that's the one.
He's got one hand out.
Yeah.
Jesus shit.
Absolutely. He's fucking he's going full anime on that.
Well, if you want to see more Mass Effect and me complaining about Kai Leng, you can go ahead and check me out over at twitch.tv/twitch.tv/ fuck.
You'll get there.
What Pat stares at. There we go. After watching Charlie and Yanners botch the name for so many attempts. Yeah, there it is! By the way, people listening to the audio version of this podcast, if you type in Kai Leng, Kai space Leng, and just scroll, you will see it. You will see what we are talking about.
Go on.
Yeah, I'll be playing Mass Effect and No More Heroes and Moon Crash this week. That's what I'm going to be doing.
Okay. Right. Well, now would be an ideal time to take a piss.
Break. Yeah.
So let's do that, and we will be right back. Alrighty. That'll lead us right back in to our sponsors.
I love our sponsors, Wooly.
This week, the podcast is sponsored by food. The concept of food coming to you very quickly. DoorDash.
Okay, I was about to say, that seems like an incredibly unspecific sponsor. But then you hit DoorDash, and I'm like, oh, I love DoorDash.
Getting food to you. This is what it is.
I say, hey, I'm hungry and lazy. I guess I'll die.
Yeah, it's, you don't got to drop dead. I mean, once
Apparently
upon a time,
I do, unless there was a solution.
Once upon a time, you would go out and forage. You might even join a hunt or two if you were feeling particularly hunter-like more than gatherer-like. But I suspect you would prefer to gather.
I could go either way. Though getting killed by a boar seems like a bad way to go.
Not a good way to go. Not a good way to go. And there's a lot of vulnerable spots you've got. And
like my dick and balls.
So leave the food to DoorDash. They're gonna send what you want to your place, and they're gonna leave it right outside your door, nice and simple and discreet, and then you get your food, and you don't even have to like worry about anybody being there or whatever. You get what you want, and in fact, you might even be able to like sneak a meal, so that if you don't want anyone else in their house to know that you're getting some 3 a.m. dessert, DoorDash can quietly drop off some 3 a.m. dessert, and you'd be like, damn.
I mean, sometimes when
I got
you get
away
food
with that.
late, you don't even need to put a shirt on. Like, you look out your window, make sure nobody's around, you just, you snatch it. Don't need no shirt.
Hey, I have a robe I'll grab from time to time, but like, you never know, You never know.
You're always taking a risk.
Yeah, but even if no one's around, you might wind up on someone's like doorbell cam.
Yeah, well, then they can get a nice pepperoni show.
They get a show.
My pepperonis.
They get a show. But the real pepperoni show is in the delivery order that you're getting sent. that you're getting sent for dinner, because DoorDash has all kinds of awesome places you can order from, because they got over 300,000 partners. You can support your local neighborhood go-tos or your favorite chains, whatever you want. I guarantee you they've got pepperonis.
You can get every type of pepperoni possible. You can make a shirt out of pepperonis you order from DoorDash.
You can get whatever you like. It's very easy. You just got to get yourself on that app. And of course, they've also got the essential items that can be delivered. So even if you're just looking for some household items, essentials that you need as well, they can hook you up with the basics. So for a limited time, our listeners can get 25% off and 0 delivery fees on their first order of $15 or more when you download the DoorDash app and enter code CASTLE2021. That's 25% off up to a $10 value and 0 delivery fees on your first order when you download the DoorDash app from the App Store and enter code CASTLE2021. Don't forget code CASTLE2021 for 25% off your first order with DoorDash. Subject to change, terms apply. Thank you, DoorDash.
Thanks, DoorDash.
Now, our next sponsor this week is about smells and feeling good.
Okay, I don't know what you're talking about, so you're gonna really have to help me out on this one.
So, step one, you get your food. You have your
Right.
needs met. Step two is don't smell like crap. Get yourself some proper grooming materials with Hawthorne.
Okay, what kind are we talking about?
You're talking, hair care, skin care. Hundreds of thousands of customers are getting in on the Hawthorne personal care brand. You can basically go to Hawthorne and you fill out a quiz that's like what your preferences are, what kind of things you're into, what you need for your body, for your face, for shaving, for your hair, all that stuff, and they will come up with the perfect, useful set that will help you
This is
not
really
smell like
nice.
shit.
I'm doing the quiz right now, and it's like, what kind of face you got? You got a dry face or like a sensitive face? You got like combination skin, and like what's your main under your eyeball area concern? Like for me, it's dark circles, but for some people, it could be like a puffiness.
Now, let me tell you something. Black don't crack.
Mm-hmm.
It don't crack,
Mm-hmm.
but it does get ashy. Black, we ash up sometimes. And
You know what,
handling.
Willie?
Mm-hmm.
Nothing.
Okay.
I'm not going to engage with this at all.
All right. Well, I'll tell you. Black don't crack, but it does get ashy. We gotta ash up sometimes, and you want to get rid of that, and that's where dry skin sucks. So you want exfoliating skincare. You want some good soaps. You want some dry skin repair. You want stuff that'll help you feel a little bit smoother as you move around, because cracking is not a thing I have to worry about, but ashing up is no good. No good.
Yeah, I got the horribly dry skin because of the Accutane. I should probably moisturize a little more often than I do, which is literally never.
I learned in elementary school, that like, damn, like dry day, little bit of dust and playing outside at recess and lunch, and you get home and your knees are ashing up and you're feeling itchy, and it's no good. It's no good. So get yourself, the on that quiz, find out what you need. They've got exfoliating bars of soap. They got face cleansers, body washes, and all kinds of handy skincare and grooming tools for everything that you're gonna need. You guys get ashy too sometimes, don't you? It's just harder to see the ash.
Oh man, I'm looking at the Hawthorne quiz. Question number 14. How bad is your BO? And it ranges from no BO to painful.
So yeah, how many specialists do we need to take care of your situation? So that's it. Be honest. Fill it out. Be real. Tell them the truth. It might be a little embarrassing. And yeah, once you set up your personal profile, then at the end of the quiz, they tailor a perfect set of products that'll help you out. And of course, if you're not completely satisfied, they'll retailer your products for free based on your feedback and pay for shipping, so there's truly no risk. Elevate your personal care today by taking Hawthorne's quiz. Go to hawthorne.co and use promo code SUPERBEAST to get 10% off your first purchase. That's HAWTHORNE.co. Promo code SUPERBEAST. Hawthorne.co, promo code SUPERBEAST.
Thanks, Hawthorne.
Thanks, Hawthorne. And lastly, this week, the podcast is sponsored by Honey. So you're well fed, you're smelling good. Why not save some money?
You're being attacked by... Oh, I was going to go on a different thing. You're being attacked by bees. No, I got. Hold on. And you go online and you're like, I need some anti-bee juice, and then there's a coupon box, but I don't know what the coupon code for anti-bee juice is. What do I do?
Well, if you take too long, the answer, you might not have the ability to type it in if there's too many bees, but the answer is honey. But the problem is what if you start attracting the bears?
Yeah.
Because if you attract the bears, then the bees are gonna... They're gonna want the... No, the bees make the honey. The bears want it. I don't know, but if you're caught between bees and bears, you're dead, man.
Yeah.
And you know what happens when you're dead?
If you need to punch in a coupon code,
you know what happens when you're dead?
What happens when you're dead?
You can't save money.
You can't save money when you're dead. It's true.
The worst part about being dead is that you can't save money on your online shopping.
No deals for you, dead person.
So don't die. Just get honey and then use it because it'll get you coupon codes at the end of your shopping online. It'll fill out the coupon code box, and it'll save you money. It supports over 30,000 stores online. Tech, gaming, fashion, food delivery, whatever you're looking for. They've got all kinds of different avenues covered. And you save some money, and then maybe you don't die to the bees and the bears.
So, you know what? When you were doing your online shopping earlier in the day before you were attacked by bees and possibly bears, if you had used honey, you would have saved up enough off of your online purchases to have gone, hey, maybe I'll get attacked by bees and bears later and get a opportunity cost free bees and bear repellent spray that would have saved you. But now you're dead.
If there's actually both in one spray, that would be pretty incredible. I would like a discount on that. That's not too bad. And that would allow me to join the over 17 million members with over $2 billion in savings. So, you looking it up? Bee and bear repellent?
All I got is keeping bears away from your bees with bear resistant fencing.
Oh, you're trying to protect the bees by keeping the bears out.
So you would need bear
case.
resistant fencing, and then you would need like some one-shot wasps and hornet, like anti-bee juice.
Yeah, I don't know, man. So save some money and shit. If you don't already have honey, you could be straight up missing out on some free savings. It's free, it installs in a couple seconds. So just get yourself that. You can get it for free at joinhoney.com/superbeast. That's joinhoney.com/superbeast. Thanks, honey.
Thanks, honey.
All right.
I fucking can't believe there are people that fucking skip the ad sequence. Yeah, that shit is a blast to do every week.
So, I guess there's a couple places we can start. A couple of different stories.
Yeah, we can start all over.
And I guarantee you, there's some shit that I've missed because I'm hearing stuff's coming in and happening hot off the presses as we go. But why
I
not?
got Blizzard news that hit me like 20 minutes ago.
Well, first things first. Why not go to space for a minute?
All right, we're in space now.
Let's go to space, and let's see how we feel about the Netflix Cowboy Bebop. I'll tell you what. I see the screenshots. I'm like, okay. Yeah. I'm going to set all expectations to 0. I'm just going to set expectations to 0, and maybe they will have learned from the live-action Death Note. Maybe not. I don't know, and I'm just going to... I'll see. We'll see. We'll see what happens.
I'm sure we've talked about it, but what is the music situation?
If it's anything besides the existing score that Yoko Kanno has fucking blessed us with, I don't even see the point.
Okay. All right.
If Yoko is around and she's making new music, that's cool. That's good too.
She's working on it.
Okay, good.
Apparently. Okay.
That's good.
So, all right. The set looks bad. That's my first feeling.
I think the costumes are fine.
Yeah, they're fine.
I think the costumes
Casting's
are fine.
Good. I think John Cho is actually a really good choice.
He's older than Spike, but Spike is already looks older than his intended anime age.
Yeah, so it's no problem.
You know, when you like, it's not the Jotaro 15-year-old thing, but he's like supposed to be like in his mid-20s, and you know, it's like, yeah, that does fly, but he definitely seems older.
Yeah, Faye and Jet look good. Ein looks good, though that was probably gonna be pretty easy as a casting decision.
No Ed.
No Ed. Ed's a fucking weirdo, so that's gonna be tough.
Yeah, I don't know, but it's also like it's the fourth member of the bunch. You know them well. You know, it's you can't just pretend there's no Ed.
Like, I'm just thinking, like, I mean, you see a shot of Spike in the church, so you know they're gonna at least cover what I'm going to call, I guess, the plot, in big air quotes, of Cowboy Bebop.
At bare minimum, we're going to get Ballad of Fallen Angels.
I think there are like 4 out of 26 episodes that concern the plot in that program.
What I want to know is Vicious going to have a big dumb bird on his shoulder?
Yeah, and it's going to be CG, and it's going to be voiced by Willem Dafoe.
Oh, fucking hell yeah.
So I'm just thinking about, like, my favorite episode of Cowboy Bebop that will absolutely not be in this show, which is Mushroom Samba.
That will not be in the show.
Absolutely, 100%, 0% not
nor
gonna be
will
there.
Pierrot.
Neither will be Toys in the Attic.
Yep.
You know what they're going to adapt, and I'm going to cringe my way through it as it's my most hated Bebop episode? The one with the little kid that's like an evil old man.
Oh, yeah. yeah.
They're going to adapt the shit out of that.
I imagine we'll get, it would be smart to like start with or keep some energy from like Stray Dog Strut. Yeah, I don't know. We'll see. We'll see.
It's funny to me because all the episodes that I think about that I would want to see adapted are all the ones that would actually be like in anime, like whatever. What you're gonna draw is what you're gonna draw, right? But like in a live action setting would be like super expensive.
Mm-hmm.
So like them getting that fucking Betamax tape would actually be like super expensive.
Or a fucking space trucker old lady mission.
Yeah, like
you know, yeah. It'd be insanely expensive.
So what we're gonna see
have nothing
that
to do with the main
where
plot.
Faye is like in the medical place and being in love with that doctor who brought her memory back, but it's not a real memory. All that crap. All of the episodes.
Anyway, based on just some screenshots and how it looks, zero expectation. And let's hope for the best. I'm glad to hear that Yoko is attached.
Yeah, so at least we'll get a soundtrack.
At least that.
At least we'll get a soundtrack.
Maybe it'll land as. Sorry, go ahead.
No, after you.
I was gonna say maybe it'll just land as like, accurate, inoffensive, and otherwise inferior to the anime. You know, and that'll just be that.
I think probably the most.
It'll be how the kids learn about Cowboy Bebop.
Is that like one of Bebop's themes or whatever that stood out to me the most strongly? Is that the people making it were like aware that they were creating something so special and so unique that it was going to define its own genre.
That they literally said in the intro.
Yeah, like they just say it.
The genre will be called.
And
Yeah.
this ain't it. This is not gonna. Now the Cowboy Bebop genre will have 2 entries: the good one and the other one.
I wonder if there's a way to like find out how many people that are like new kids to any legacy franchises then go back to see what the old one was about.
I'm gonna say 10%.
How many people
say,
played FFR as their first FF7R as their first FF time playing anything related to that, and then went back to FF7? Yeah,
probably a ton. But that's a little different because FF7R basically looks you dead in the eye and goes, "You should probably go play FF7 after that."
How many people watched the rebuilds and then went back to the original Ava?
I'm gonna guess a lot, but that is also very different.
Live action is very different.
That is a very different situation because a lot of people finished watching 3.33 and went, "I don't get it," and then their friend who told them to watch Rebuild in the first place was like, "Yeah, of course you don't get it," and then they turn into a little mini Anno, and like, "You want to come binge that shit at my house?" And they're like, "No," and they're like, "Okay, you're coming to binge that shit at my house then."
Well, best case scenario, a bunch of people watch this and have a reason to go back and enjoy one of the greatest animes. But maybe it just lands and it's like, yeah, it was fine and it was an adaptation, and then now go back and watch Cowboy Bebop.
I become worried that it's gonna be like hot garbage, except for like that scene though. Right?
Yeah, except for like Spike falling through the glass and it's Green Bird is playing and it's all cool and pretty. But it's like, but it already was cool and pretty. But now it's cool and pretty again.
I don't know who to blame with this. I'm gonna just assume it's everyone over the age of whatever age I am right now, because I have just become so exhausted of, hey, let's take this thing. Oh, we want to hit big time. Let's make it live action. That's better, right? Just like nonstop, like my whole life, and it's so exhausting.
Well, it is just like
always worse.
Well, it's just what's a hot thing that blew up in the time that we were growing up. Like, okay, well here, like check it out. We're doing it again in this way. You did have old franchises coming back to life when we were growing up, but it was so much rarer back then than it is like now for the things we give a fuck about. Because I remember there'd be things where it'd be like, do you remember the Phantom? Like the Phantom 2040, I think it was called. It was like this purple superhero, and he had a mask, and like he would ride a horse sometimes, and just that was it. It was just there was a guy in this purple suit with a mask, and he had gadgets, and it was like a movie. There's a live action movie that came out for this thing, and yeah, it was based off the original Phantom comics, which I remember the only comics my dad ever had and like knew and was into was the original Phantom comics. So they made a live action movie for this thing. I must have been mid 90s, if not late 90s. And I was like, what the fuck is this? Why does this exist? And I was like, oh, because there's an older generation of people that are like, oh my God, I remember the Phantom. And they were like, oh shit, they're bringing it back. Wow. And that was that's an example that comes to mind from back then, because that's how rarely it used to happen.
Let me ask you a question.
Josie and the Pussycats at some point came back, but like there was not a whole lot of like we're we're bringing this old shit from the 70s back to you for a new generation in a way that is like you're gonna see one or two every single year, you know.
Can you think of anything that went from being an animated property, not a comic or a manga or a book first, like it was
Cartoon.
an animated property,
Mm-hmm.
that then became a live action thing that justified its own existence?
The live action thing?
Yeah.
Speed Racer was pretty good.
Speed Racer is literally the only thing I could come up with.
Ninja Turtles started as a comic.
Let's be kind. There's
Eastman
a bunch
and
of
Laird.
shit that we didn't see or whatever, but like there's at least like a 95% fail rate on this, right? Like it is the worst transitory medium jump possible. I've seen manga get turned into good anime. I've seen anime get turned into good manga. I've seen books turn into great movies, and vice versa, etc. But for whatever reason, the jump from animated to live action fucking sucks. Like every time.
A lot of people seem to like Scooby-Doo. I've never watched it.
They're wrong.
A lot of people seem to like Scooby-Doo. Oh, man. We're starting animated, huh? Yeah, that's a... There's not a whole lot. There's not a whole lot.
Bummer.
I mean, if you expand that list to include started at least as a comic or a manga or shit like that, then you can say Ninja Turtles. You can say Alita.
I saw people in the chat saying Kenshin. I'm like, you mean the live action movies that were adapted from the manga Kenshin? Uh-oh, sorry. You tried.
Well, yeah. So it's but either way, the rate at which like properties that we got into in the mid to late 90s into the early aughts are like coming back now, a decade and a half later, is the rate is so much higher. Everything is like this now, and you're kind of there's a video that I want to say Comic Book Girl 19 did that looks at like the rate of new releases to existing IPs in terms of movies every year, and how that used to be it used to be like a third of everything released, and then it just increased and increased, and now it's like 70 to 80% of things have to be pre-recognized, and it's like the decision is also, it's clearly, it's a financial thing where they're like, it's not viable because people vote with their money and they don't go to see new things, you know?
Yeah.
I'm sad. So it was like, this is a formula that sucks to see the progression of the pie chart where like old things have to take up the whole thing, but it's also like, well, but people are only going to see the old things because that's the things they care about, and they don't go to see the new things, you know? It's a safer bet every time. So how do you fight
out in my head
the results?
How terrible the elevator scene would be with two actresses in live action. It would suck.
I'm going to go further and say the last 10 seconds of the show are extremely corny in live action.
Disgusting, you mean? Or, oh!
No, just corny.
Oh, you mean congratulations.
Just...
Oh,
what do you do in live action?
Oh, God, that would look. Oh God, how would you even shoot it? Like what? Like I don't even know.
What do you do? What do you do?
Fuck, that would be terrible.
The last 10 seconds of Cowboy Bebop would also be kind of corny.
Somebody in our chat said that David Lynch could do it. And you know what? David Lynch could totally do it. I genuinely believe that, but he wouldn't, because David Lynch is only going to do what he wants to make, and if you try to talk to him about it, he'll tell you to shut up. It's my favorite creator quote ever. Eraserhead's my most spiritual film. Could you elaborate on that? No.
No. Refuses to elaborate. Yeah, that's the big Chad
I will
meme.
not.
Makes statement, refuses to elaborate.
He actually does go into detail why he responds to that way in a different interview. He's like, people always ask you what the movie was about or what the movie meant.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, I told you what it was about when you watched the movie. The feeling that you had watching the movie, that's what the movie was about.
Right.
Why are you asking me to sit here and explain it to you?
I'm going to say that, like, to go ahead and answer my own question, the only way to fight back against, like, an infinite remake, Tsukuyomi, is to just keep making new things, and when the funding goes away, find other ways of funding it and make the new things that are good anyway, because if they're good, people will, you know, word of mouth can help. But there's a lot of great shit that never gets that, to be honest. So it's brutal. It's rough. It's rough, you know.
Like the time to get the gun ready is when in 20 years you start reading an interview about a young animator who really wants to get the rights to do a remake of his favorite live action space western Cowboy Bebop, only to be told in interview that it was actually an animated thing first. Like
I mean, didn't
you know?
No, what was it? I was gonna say, didn't Powerpuff Girls hit that level of, like, adaptation into? No, but it wasn't Powerpuff Girls. I mean, Street Fighter the movie, the game, Real Battle on fucking Film is, you know, already what you're describing. You know what?
I gotta say, the real takeaway from this is that every person working on live action Cowboy Bebop is another person not trying to get live action Akira made.
That is true. That is very true.
Akira is a film that everyone has like a moral duty to fight against its live action incarnation from existing.
It already makes no sense as an animated film. What are you doing? You can't understand it unless you read the books it's based on. What the fuck are you doing adapting this? All right. Anyway, Cowboy Bebop comes to Netflix in a couple months. It's coming out in like November.
Woo!
So we'll see what happens.
Yay!
Other things. There was a leak of the new Spider-Man trailer, so then they just officially put out the new trailer for No Way Home.
I had the absolute stupidest emotion around that Spidey-Man leak, because I got to it too late and the good leak had been taken down, and so all I could watch was the guy recording his own phone. Like, the phone was vertical and he was watching the TikTok horizontal at 144p.
Oh.
And like kept flashing some name on it that I couldn't read, and like
God
it was
damn
the
it.
shittiest possible way to watch it. And I'm watching it, I'm like, haha, yeah, it's like the good old days.
The good old days, man. When you couldn't fucking You're some new characters in a fighting game, and the only way to see it is between a crowd of people around the machine. Someone's holding up a camcorder, and it's recording some shit blurry quality, and you're like, did he already do a new super? Is that I can't see it. The screen flashed, but then someone got in the way.
I think my favorite part about it is that the version this dude was watching, for whatever reason, didn't have the visual effects finished, and so people put that out. The VFX aren't done. But, like, there's a scene of Strange walking around in an area that in the real trailer you can see is covered in snow, but when you're watching it over this dude's shoulder at 144p, it looks like multiple scenes are just entirely CG white backdrop and completely unfinished.
Okay.
And I'm like, oh my god, is this a fucking work print? Jesus shit.
Well, then they have to put out the real trailer then, because if the one people go watch is like an unfinished bullshit one, then at that point, fuck your marketing, you know? So, like, I'm gonna go ahead and assume that they noticed that people enjoyed Spider-Verse.
Yeah.
And they're like, hey, how about that, though?
So it's a couple things. So we did the Thanos stuff, and now they gotta have they have to have a big arc, right? And this big arc also includes Sony making Venom and Morbius. And it has to also include the fact that Disney bought the X-Mans, that they probably want to get in there at some point.
Mm-hmm.
And so they do that Loki stuff with the multiverse.
Mm-hmm.
And what better way to start it off with, one, they did totally prove that Spider-Verse is a good idea for a thing.
Mm-hmm.
And two, those Raimi movies are still super beloved, and the actors in them were the right choices for those characters 20 years ago.
Almost. Not entirely, but go on.
Who don't you like?
Topher fucking Grace?
Well, he's not in this trailer, is he?
But that was not the right choice for Eddie Brock. But
No,
anyway, go on.
I'm talking about Willem Dafoe and Alfred Molina. Specifically,
the
two people that are in the new trailer.
Correct.
And ironically enough, I'll even say, hey, Jamie Foxx is a good choice for Electro, just not the version they fucking did with that other shitty movie.
Listen, like, Spider-Man, Batman, and Superman are the characters with the most multi-universe movie nonsense bullshit history to go through. So, like, you can have a lot of fun with that if you actually go through the efforts of hiring the people and going at full-on admission that shit was wild and corny and lame in some of these entries. Make fun of yourself, embrace it, and then we can all have fun together, because that's how we feel.
I just realized who they should have cast as Eddie Brock, but the age doesn't line up, I don't think. Let me see. 44, maybe. It should have been John Cena as Eddie Brock. I just watched Suicide Squad the other day with the John Cena in it, and he's actually a decent actor. He could have totally done Eddie Brock.
Okay. But can they use Eddie Brock? Are they allowed?
Who knows?
I don't even know if that's allowed. That might not be okay.
Who knows? Though what's interesting is, like, did you see Loki?
I didn't finish it.
Okay.
I'm like 2 episodes from finishing it.
That's fine. They do a lot of dumb multiverse shit in Loki.
Yeah, they
right?
do. They do.
And the best thing that has come out of that is they interview. This fucking movie is leaking like a sieve, like it is
because of the casting. Yeah, because it's the most interesting thing about it. It has been the casting news.
So they talked to Electro. They talked to Jamie Foxx, and like, so you gonna be in the new Spider-Man movie as Electro? And he's like, yeah, but I'm not gonna be blue. They're not gonna paint me up with that blue shit.
Sure, yeah.
And it's like, oh, and you see yellow lightning in the trailer, and you're like, oh, they're gonna bring back Jamie Foxx's Electro because that was a good pick, but they ruined him. But he's not gonna be the same Electro. He's gonna be one Electro over.
Now the during Spider-Verse, I remember hearing that like, oh, there was an intended bit that was gonna involve Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire, but like they just did, but they didn't actually end up doing it. Now, do you actually? Is that even a thing that you consider doing here? You know, or do you just stick with the villains and keep it from like going all in with alternate actual Peters?
Well, the set photos of Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire hanging out together in Spider-Man suits that came out the same day definitely lead to the idea that they're probably gonna be in it.
Okay, all right. Well, we'll see what happens. we'll see what happens.
Like the photos of them hanging out in a blue screen set, just standing next to each other in Spider-Man costumes.
Okay.
Yeah, probably.
So it bodes well. It bodes well. Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. Wow. Okay.
I like.
Make fun of it. Fucking shit on your own franchise.
Yeah.
Drop trouser and fucking dump on your own dumb old iterations.
If we're gonna have a million comic book movies, I at least want some comic book movies that do stupid comic book shit. Right?
We're finally there. We're finally 20 plus movies in. Everyone knows what a cape is, and now you can start doing the weird shit. Yeah. I wanted the weird shit like 10 years ago, but we weren't ready. Finally.
Did you see the new Suicide Squad?
I didn't. I hear it's great.
Starro's the villain.
Okay.
Do you even know who Starro is?
Nope.
He's that fucking Superman villain that's the starfish from space.
Okay.
Yeah. It's fucking magic starfish.
All right.
Like, it's stupid. That's dumb, man.
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah, it is. It's fun. I saw Spider-Man. Wait, so who's talking to me? Shut up, whoever's talking to me. Get out of here, Steam Keys. All right. What else we got on news?
Let's take a look over here. We've got the announcement that River City Girls 2 is happening.
Hell yeah.
And it's got a bunch more characters, including Provy from River City Ransom Underground, the cool hoodie girl, and Marion from Double Dragon herself as a playable character. That's awesome. She got kidnapped a couple times.
Girls.
And she learned how to fight.
It's a good game.
She learned how to fight. So, confirmed, this is not the Rage of the Dragons universe.
I don't want to talk to you about this.
Marion is here, and she's got abs. Yeah, that's dope. That's dope. More of this game is great.
Wait, is that why she got abs? Because she's sick of getting punched in the gut?
I imagine. She keeps getting punched in the gut. Of course she gets abs. So that you don't get punched anymore. In fact, if this game knows what it's doing, it'll have a moment where someone tries and the fucking hand just breaks as it bounces off the diamond abs she has. You know? Or her parry or one of her moves will just be
Is her
like
sticking her stomach out,
sticking her abs out and just absorbing the hit,
God.
like Q. It's like, fuck you, you ain't punching shit. I really hope so. That'd be amazing.
Beat 'em up crossover shit is the most confusing thing in the world to me. It is absolutely.
But it's not really. It's just River City Ransom, Double Dragon, and all that techno shit is just Predator, Alien, and Terminator. They're like, oh, guys, you guys want to be friends and hang out a lot? We're still going to make our own money, but do you want to hang out a bunch? And everyone's like, yeah, okay. Let's do it. You know, Kunio, all of it. They just, that's it. They just like hanging out. People who have franchises that are similar that want to do crossovers all the time.
Yeah, I guess.
So yeah, River
they
City
love
Girls.
to fight. They need to fight because they need bus fare.
There's also a River City Girls 0 that's coming out. That's a 16-bit demake style game.
Well, that's nice.
And
it's a bit overlappy, but
have you seen the artwork though?
Yeah, it's like
it's old school
hilarious.
Kunio, and it's like, yeah, exactly, and it's like it's sending everybody back into like what they would be like in that era of Shin Neketsu Koha. That's cool.
I just want more River City Girls, man. That game was shockingly amazing.
Not demake, old style game. It's old 16-bit style game. Just yes. So there's an announcement for that. There's also apparently a PlatinumGames Summer Festival live stream coming on Friday. New info on World of Demons. First glimpse at Sol Cresta gameplay, and new DLC for the Wonderful 101, which everybody fucking forgot that the Kickstarter campaign talked about Luca's first adventure.
I also forgot about that.
Which was a 16-bit side-scroller that was going to feature Luca. And then I think there was like a second chapter of it. So they're making more Wonderful 101 shit.
When's that Summer Platinum thing?
Friday.
Okay, so Friday is 1, 2, 3. So that would be day 1351 of no Bayonetta 3 news.
Why have you not deleted Bayo 3 from your brain yet?
Because I follow the daily status of Bayonetta 3 and retweet it at least once a week because it's hilarious that it's gotten to like almost 1,400 days.
You should delete that from your brain and just
I'm not gonna. I don't care.
The game straight up needs to be re-announced.
Oh, 100%.
And
it has to be like a big thing. It has to be like Nintendo Direct coming hot. It's about a big thing, and they have to spend like half an hour showing it off and talking about why it took so long, and like a proper re-announcement.
I wonder how things would have went if they announced that they like didn't cancel it, but they scrapped it and they started over. Like, I wonder if that makes it a little more understandable.
It would definitely make it a lot more tangible, as that would have technically counted as Bayonetta 3 news. Therefore, we would be at day 700 or something.
You're not counting the days until Bayo 3 exists. You're counting the days since there's been news.
Yeah, that's right. That's the daily status of Bayonetta 3.
Right.
There is no news.
Right.
For 1,348 days.
Just information. Okay. Fine. Yes, true. That's an important distinction to make. This is true.
Like Kamiya has, like, I think a year or so ago said, like, we're still working on it. I'm like,
but
that's
stop thinking
not
about
news.
It. But he did say stop thinking about it.
He also said, stop asking me about it. And it's like, no, that's not news.
Wasn't it? Didn't he say pretend it didn't get exist?
Pretend it didn't get announced. Yeah,
pretend he said pretend it
thing.
didn't get announced. Yeah, there you go. He literally said that. Yeah. So
No.
well.
I think the funniest thing is, like, I think it was 2 weeks ago, Kamiya retweeted the fucking day like 1400.
Did he?
Yeah.
That's amazing.
He retweeted at least one of them.
That's pretty amazing. Okay. By the way, reminder that World of Demons is pretty fun.
Yeah, that's cool.
It's a solid little arcade game.
Imagine just getting the fucking release ready for World of Demons or 101 or whatever new project they're working on, and then just like having to sit there and just like, all right. Hey, so we're here to talk about World of Demons today. Is there anything you would like to ask me about World of Demons?
Yeah, I've got a question.
Sitting there.
I've got a question.
Yeah. What's your question, sir?
Is this an out of season April Fool's joke?
What do you?
No, what? Many gamers have phones for Diablo.
Oh man, you want to talk about Blizzard? There's a minor piece of news today about them.
I have a minor piece of news about Blizzard that says that they've lost nearly half of their monthly active users in 4 years.
I mean, over the past 4 years? Like, it's been a drop for 4 years now? And they recently hit half their users?
It has fallen from 46 million to 26 million since 2017. Correct. The active user base.
Is that everything on the Blizzard launcher?
That is World of Warcraft, Overwatch, Hearthstone, and everything that you would consider an active user base for their games.
That is wild. That is
leading
absolutely crazy.
Year on year, they plateaued around 32 million monthly active users from 2019 up to 2020. Yeah. Half.
People in our chat are pointing out that they lost those numbers continuously despite the biggest video game boom period ever, which is the pandemic.
Mm-hmm. So that's what that peak was about.
If not for the pandemic, they would have lost even more.
The decline would have been more. That is true. Despite the WoW expansion, Shadowlands being the fastest selling PC game of all time when it launched last December, swiftly taken over by Cyberpunk, it wasn't enough to turn around the numbers.
Well, that's a great sentence. Fastest selling ever. But then Cyberpunk beat it. Like, wow, what a great batch.
So what's the other?
I haven't heard good things about Shadowlands, by the way. Like, I feel like there was a massive drop off on that. I mean, look at 14. They just had to do maintenance last night to deal with server congestion. Like, just nonstop.
What's the other bit?
The other bit of news? Oh, well, let's go to Stephen Totillo's Twitter, where he is reporting on a new piece of information about the Activision Blizzard lawsuit from California, which will now include references to contract workers, and claims that human resources would routinely shred documentation about investigations and complaints of sexual harassment at the company.
Oh my God.
Quote, the DFEH says Activision Blizzard has stymied its efforts through NDAs, requiring employees to speak with the company ahead of contacting DFEH, and its involvement with Wilmer Hale, a law firm the game maker said will investigate misconduct. The suit claims that this directly interferes with their ability to investigate, prosecute, and remedy workplace discrimination and harassment violations on behalf of employees, blah, blah, blah. It alleges, in part, that the documents and related to investigations and complaints were shredded by HR personnel in violation of what it asserts is the game company's legal obligation to retain them pending investigation. So as soon as the lawsuit hit them, HR took every investigative report and fucking complaint form they ever received and just started to destroy them because they totally aren't hiding anything.
Literally flush the coke down the toilet. The cops are coming up. We needed the money, Karen.
Because, like...
Wow.
So this is one of those fun things where you can just assume guilt, because if they were not guilty, why would they have destroyed their own investigative reports? And it's like, oh, so what were these investigative reports? Were these like literally a stack of binders going, hey, this dude's a sex pervert and won't leave me alone, and jokes about Cosby rapes, and it's like 20 reports. And every single one of them is like, found no basis, found no basis, found no basis. That's got a little check mark on it.
If it's a stack of papers that makes it so that you can say, yeah, I didn't know anything, then that's why you'd shred it. Wow. Oh, man. Is there any gesture or action more guilty than destroying the evidence, destroying things while the door is being bashed in?
All right, Julie. Hey, Julie, how you doing? You still at the office? Okay, I'm gonna need you to take everything out of every filing cabinet and shred it. I want you to burn the paper. Okay, yes, no, everything. Yeah, absolutely everything. No, don't worry about it. This isn't a crime, I promise.
Just people in suits and ties at the office working on their swallowing the pieces of paper gag reflex before they get fucking brought outside. Oh my god. Okay. Damn. That's a bad one. Just in optics. In terms of optics, whatever it means, that is as brutal.
There was also,
and incriminating as it gets.
I'm sure somebody either in the chat or listening to this podcast will post it somewhere, but there was a young woman who's still employed at Activision Blizzard, who has been very active in showing off hey, we gotta fucking do something about this shit, and retweeting every article about how bad the company
the hiring
sucks.
thing.
And people from HR contacted her with a written email saying, hey, you're making it really hard to hire new people because they're looking up the company and seeing some articles on your Twitter. Could you just calm it down, because it's making it really tough to replace some of the employees we had to fire. And this lady, to her grand credit, just screenshot that HR email and put it right up.
Also, we've noticed that you haven't been mentioning all the good things that we've done. That's the underlined part to me.
So the underlying part to me isn't either of those things. And it's the way that goes down says a lot about... Because there's corporate culture and there's company culture, but then each department has its own feeling.
Mm-hmm.
And it's the people in HR going through all of this and apparently shredding documents while this is happening, right?
Mm-hmm.
Are stupid enough or nearsighted enough that the person banging the drum about their specific abuses is the person they should write down a request to stop. This is not something you put on paper. This is something, Jimmy, go to her office and talk to her in person on her break.
No, Pat, because when you make the call to say, hey, do you mind not doing that, it's extraordinarily difficult to hear the request over the sounds of the paper shredder going on in the background.
The paper shredder is
pretty loud. Really loud.
They're really loud. It's tough. You gotta send an email out. Very loud.
Lots of shit going on in the background. You can't hear. You can't hear. Let's just send a message. Write it down. A lot of sounds. A lot of people running around. A lot of boxes getting emptied onto the floor.
Now, someone just pointed out, well, with COVID, they could be working from home. And that's true. And if that is the case, then it would have obviously been a better solution to do nothing.
Well, you know what's better than doing nothing?
What's that?
Paying what you owe close to 10 years later.
Oh, God. I was talking about this last night. This is such a feel bad.
So, Curt Schilling's failed game studio finally sends its last paychecks. 38 Studios, the folks behind Reckoning, which I tested
Not
and
quite.
enjoyed.
No, they weren't behind it. It was a different team.
Oh, they published it then.
Yeah, they published it. They were behind Copernicus, the MMO that never came out.
Right. Their logo was definitely on
yeah, and that was supposed to be a
Reckoning,
different
though.
game altogether until they picked it up.
Oh yeah, no, I was staring at those design documents while we were testing. Like it was, you know, it was a thing. Ambitious is a hell of a word to describe it. But I like the combat system in Reckoning. And so the people who made that, of course, were all fucked over in lots of ways some 9 years ago. Around 400 employees, as we were told you guys maybe some time ago, were fucked over in the bankruptcy process of 38 Studios because people were moved out to the location, and in some cases, like, people were given houses in Rhode Island that were like meant to like support them while working at the studio, and then after the shutdown they were left holding the bag.
Last night, it's called a double mortgage. So they were out wherever the original studio was, and some of those people had mortgages on their homes. Massachusetts, okay. So they're at Massachusetts. They have homes in Massachusetts, and then the company says, well, we need more funding, so we're going to go to Rhode Island and get more funding. And people go, but I own a fucking house in Massachusetts. They go, well, don't worry. The company will pay your mortgage on either the old one or the new one. I forget, but it's not really important. So you'll have a double mortgage, but the company will pay one of those mortgages, and then the company will just own the house that you're not living in. Mm-hmm. So you'll it's no problem, right? And that works great right up until the company disintegrates and you're stuck holding two mortgages, including a house that you don't live in multiple states over.
Yes. So that entire process was a $75 million loan that the company was acting as a guarantor for everyone's shit. And then, they got fucked over. People were stuck with those old mortgages, and not to mention other like basic like paid unpaid salaries and things like that. There was literally canned food drives to help support the people that were suddenly out of work there. So all this to say that after nearly a decade of litigation, payouts have begun and have started going to the former staff. Some people are so many addresses beyond where they used to live 9 years ago that it's having a hard time reaching everybody. But they have begun paying out their last paychecks and what they owe to people. So far, it's been a fraction of what's totally owed. It's no details on whether this is the end of it or whether it was going to continue. But there you go.
Hey, here's a bonus. Would you guys like to... So, 38 Studios went under in 2012, right? And 2012, well, like, that seems familiar for some reason. And I'm like, we're talking about double mortgages.
Housing
People would have to
crisis?
sell their house. And I'm like, let's take a gander at a Wikipedia. Well, the United States housing bubble was a real estate bubble affecting over half of the U.S. states. It was the impetus for the subprime mortgage crisis.
4 years
Housing prices
prior.
peaked in early 2006, declined in 2006, and then reached new lows in 2012. So the lowest, shittiest price you could ever sell your house for in the past 30 years was the year that these people lost their jobs coming out of it with double mortgages.
So there you go.
And then Curt Schilling went back to announcing for baseball and made a bunch of his money back and got to be rich again.
He dreamed of making a WoW killer.
Yeah. You know what? WoW Killer's a great segment. We got some Fortnite on this docket, Wooly?
Hit me.
You know what mode is coming to Fortnite?
Yeah. True. That's true. I completely fucking...
Yeah, that was this week.
Yeah.
That's right. Imposters.
I mean, look. If you thought the Apex, they're going to steal our shit release wasn't the epitome of like, oh no, they did steal it. They took it. It was 2 weeks later. It doesn't matter what genre your game is. If the kids love it, they're coming for it. So, big old Among Us.
This is my favorite part because Schilling talked about doing a WoW killer. And I don't know if you remember, but 38 Studios did do one thing that was smart in that whole period. They never showed the game. Game was never shown. Because if you remember, WoW had the most predatory business model ever for many years. They were making the most money of any MMO that ever has and probably ever will. And Warhammer Online would come out and say, hey, we're going to make a WoW killer. It's going to be a good MMO. We got the Warhammer license. And our big thing is going to be public quest. And here's how the public quests are going to work. And they would show it off. And WoW would build a team to implement that in WoW. And it would be in WoW before the fucking game it stole it from even came out. And then Warhammer would fucking come out and people would be like, what the fuck is the point of this shit? I'm already playing WoW. It still has it. And they did that to like tons of games. And Fortnite was a survival building game like Minecraft. And then they saw PUBG and went, no, we're a battle royale game. And then they saw Among Us and they're like, now we're a fucking imposter game. We're going to have imposter mode.
Like, the Fortnite taking other game shit model is what made Fortnite to begin with. It started with, what are they doing over there? We can do it over here. It started with that.
We have the Unreal money. Right?
You know, there was no... Yeah.
It's my favorite thing. It's my favorite meme I've seen in a long time. Where it's somebody's pretending to be, you know, World of Warcraft. It's like, hey, whatever your game does, we're just going to copy it. And we're going to do it better. And then somebody goes, well, what if you had, like, good writing and good music? And it just cuts back to, like, World of Warcraft, like, crying. Because that's literally all it was.
Just
Final Fantasy. It's like you can't steal good writing. You can't steal good music.
You know, imagine the world that we would soon live in our lifetimes, where so Spider-Man trailer comes out today, and then the AI behind Warner Brothers generates a Batman multiverse movie, which releases tomorrow. Using all of the footage of their old movies and deep fakes to take the actor faces and create new scenes.
We literally bang this movie out in 3 weeks. It's here.
No actors required. Just deep fake everything and use the old footage. you know, and now it's out, and you got Batman Multiverse Adventure. What the fuck you need the spider shit for?
It's it's weird because in games, it's one of the only mediums that if you throw more money at it, it can become better. Right? You
Alfred
can throw
Molina.
as much.
We have Heath Ledger.
Yeah. Oh, you can throw as much money as you want at George R.R. Martin, right? The book's not going to be better because you gave him more money.
No.
Right?
No.
You can throw as much money at a manga artist or a comic artist, and it's like it's still going to come out in the time frame that it's going to come out at the quality that they want to produce. But with a movie, yeah, you can make the special effects look better and the production look better, but you're not going to be swapping actors in the middle of the film because you got more money. Like, it just doesn't work like that.
Right.
With a game, you can say, I want 100 more people to work on what a jump feels like.
Yeah. And that'll make it more fun.
Is.
Yeah. Yeah.
Fortnite is just spend infinity dollars on making every single part of this process feel and play immaculate.
Now,
so that even though it's a massive ripoff fest, guess what? It's still a quality ripoff.
And it'll never have like a Disco Elysium level script.
No, you can't.
Know?
You need somebody to write that. You can't just give more money to 300 writers and be like, give me a Disco Elysium script.
But you can make the game feel fun and good to shoot the bang. Yeah, that's a doable. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I absolutely think like this is Fortnite doing this is the beginning. Well, WoW really, as you gave the example, was the beginning, but like the idea of companies ripping each other off has been around for a while, but those ripoffs would often come out to be a new game or a different property or franchise or some kind of staggered release.
Slightly different.
Not an ongoing live service game that has everyone's attention.
Yeah.
That's the difference, is like I would have to beat you to the punch and put that shit out and have someone come out here and buy it. Not beat you to the punch and hand it to people that are already here, that have paid, that are interested in what I'm putting out anyway.
Yeah.
Or they haven't paid because my service is free. It's brutal. Fucking brutal. Don't announce your shit. Don't say what it is. Don't do anything. And maybe you'll stand a chance. Apex new.
The only other interesting thing about this story is that the Among Us devs did mention that they did not copyright or patent the gameplay in Among Us because they don't think that's very good for the industry, but they wished that Fortnite like tried harder to differentiate itself. It's called imposter mode. Like, that's probably where most of the ire come. Like, wow.
We don't want you to not. We want you to recognize and think about Among Us when you see this. We don't want you to for a second think we're doing something else.
However, to be fair, Among Us is a very old genre of game.
It's werewolf
that has had dozens of incarnations prior to it.
Yeah,
them not trying just happened to be the one to hit it.
Them not trying to own that concept is because that's a game you can sit with your friends in a circle and play verbally. You know, it's a fucking campfire game. Like, why would you try to do that? So that makes perfect sense. You know,
as somebody, oh man, I love reading these people during this because sometimes they really nail it. Like, Trouble in Terrorist Town is one of the first big video game incarnations of this, right? But as someone correctly pointed out, Among Us isn't called Trouble in Terrorist Village.
Right.
It's like, right? The fact that Fortnite's like, it's an pot, like, fuck off, holy shit.
Even like Secret Hitler is Secret Hitler.
Call it Secret H. Jesus Christ.
But that children are supposed to recognize it and like that they recognize it. Like, that's the point. The differentiation defeats the point.
Yeah.
You know? So. Anyway, there you go. other shit going down. Saints Row's being rebooted.
Again?
Apparently so.
Oh, no, wait. No, it didn't get rebooted. They've been talking about this for years, and I didn't realize they were not there yet.
Well, they basically have updated the website with a big wall reading rebooting, and apparently it's going to be possibly revealed at Gamescom or something along those lines, according to the...
I'm not surprised. I don't know if you
Pope.
followed the Saints Row games at all, Willie. There was literally nowhere
to
for
go.
that franchise to go.
Yeah, fair enough.
They did the GTA game, and then they did the version where you had superpowers, and then they had the version where you were in hell with superpowers, and like by the end of that, like the Earth is destroyed. Like there's no Earth.
Yeah, okay.
And you're a demigod in like a GTA world, and you never ever get into a car ever, and you're shooting fireballs and magic, and it's like, yeah, they'd have to do a total reboot if they want me to get into a car and pick up a shotgun again, because...
yeah, so more info later. Not much to say, though. Oh, is that this Friday? Okay, I guess that's where all this news is coming from.
As well Gamescom this Friday? Gamescom's happening right now. There's an Xbox thing that was going on right before we started the podcast. I mention Halo once, and now everyone is sad.
Yeah, I saw like Psychonauts 2 got a trailer and some other stuff. Yeah, I was wondering, like, I saw a bunch of Xbox news popping up. Never mind all that shit, though. Fuck Xbox. Let me tell you something. The future.
Yeah, tell me. Yeah.
The future is here. The future is Atari. Atari is officially 100% completely owned by Soulja Boy. Tell him. The Atari
Grade
is
2
back.
Launch title for a new Atari console. Let's go.
Everybody go follow at Atari. Go follow the various on Twitter, on everywhere, because Soulja Boy has bought it. He owns Atari, and he's already announced that he is about to sell it for $140 million. Get fucking told.
To who? Soulja Boy. Who wants to buy the Atari right now? No, seriously.
So Atari then follows up with some messaging saying, Nah, Soulja Boy does not own Atari.
Wait, what?
Soulja Boy puts out a video saying, I own Atari. He's wearing a hat, he's wearing a shirt, and he says, I'm the new owner. I'm the first rapper to own a video game company. I own Atari. Atari releases a statement going, nah.
What?
And I believe the tweet was, we know the CEO of Atari is a dream job, but that honor still belongs to Wade Rosen. So Atari is like, no, Soulja Boy does not own Atari. Soulja Boy then comes out and starts and goes off and says, no, I do own them. I do own the company. I have proof. The proof is right here. Ya trick ya. Brigga bra, jigga bra. I own the company. I'm going to make my money. And he holds up a contract that he apparently owns. People zoom in on the contract that was screenshotted, and they notice that it does not specify he owns the Atari company, but he does in fact own Atari tokens, which are Atari cryptocurrency that he purchased through a promo deal. Superman. Now Superman that hoe. You. Soulja Boy does not take the news kindly and reacts quite angrily to what people are accusing him of. And you know, he did say that they were proud of him for what he did with the Soulja Boy game console. They saw that he blew the Soulja Boy game console up, and they figured that, you know, he would be the right person to take the brand of Atari forward, and they're in talks. You know, he says they're in talks about where to go with Atari, and he's the owner. He signed a deal. They reached out and he signed the deal.
This is just. This is $1 million cringe.
Like, 140 million specifically.
Yeah, no, but like, how much did he spend on these fucking tokens?
Enough
to think. We could assume he was willing to sell it for 140, right? But how much did he fucking spend on it?
Enough to think he owned the company. So and then went out 30? And bought a hat and shirt and then put out tons of videos of him talking about making moves. Making fucking moves.
That is $1 million cringe. That is absolutely astonishing. That is absolutely unbelievable. You know, and people, when I'm talking, I'm like, yeah, cryptocurrency is a scam. Everything about it is a scam. And you're either being scammed or you're in on the scam. And there's no two ways about it. Wow, here we go. Somebody just got paid millions of dollars of real money that they can go out and buy shit with to give Soulja Boy fucking, I don't even know.
Like, if the end result was he thought he owned it and it turned out he owned some shares and not as many as he thought.
Yeah, that's totally different.
There is a thing there, but he owns Atari tokens, whatever the fuck those are.
It's kind of incredible because like anything is only worth what anyone's willing to pay for it.
That's correct.
And at some point, Atari tokens, let's take that specifically, are going to be worth literally zero. Because no one's using it.
Unless this news blows them the fuck up, in which case everyone jumps in on this wild fucking ride.
So the only way for Soulja Boy to make his money back is for him to now talk up how awesome Atari Coin is and how Atari Coin is the future. And how it was actually very lucky that he got Atari Coin instead of shares because the shares are going to go down in value, but Atari Coin can only go up, and that's why you should buy my Atari Coin. Ignore why I'm desperate to sell, even though I'm saying the value can only go up.
Oh, you're talking about Soulja Coin?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, for sure. The I hope Jonathan Blow's having a good day. I hope.
I wonder what he's working on.
I don't know, but I hope he's having a good day. You know, I hope something nice is happening. Anyway,
do you remember seeing the video of like Blow's soul leave his body when he's watching that Soulja Boy clip? Do you remember the look on his fucking face?
I just like. What I love is that, like, you can count on, like, the fucking, like, the tides, like, the calendar, like, the moon. You can count on Soulja Boy popping back up within 2 years in the gaming industry in some way, shape, or form to do something, to say something, you know? He's always going to be around.
I remember Soulja Boy and Superman That Hoe and all that blowing up, and Ice-T came out to just talk just endless shit about what a stupid, unappreciative fucking moron Soulja Boy was. And the general consensus was, yeah, but T, you're feuding with a child.
Yeah.
Right? Like you're a full-grown man with wife and kids and a long storied career, and you're fighting a literal child. Like,
So,
come on.
and
Let
then
him grow up.
And
but
he
that
gets
was like 10 years ago, and this motherfucker's still just as stupid.
He gets to say, "Ya, trick, ya, get out my face, get out my face," and then fucking, you know, because you're a big adult. Don't talk to him. You can't say shit. Is this
Ice-T
real?
was right.
Wait, hold on. No. Give me 1 second to verify.
Are you looking at the Snoop Dogg shit?
He's collaborating with Chet Hanks.
Yeah.
Oh!
Soulja Boy's gonna be the poster child for White Boy Summer.
Yo! Let's go! Psych! Real original Jamaican bad accent, Chet Hanks. Hey. Oh, let's fucking go. Oh, that's good. Oh, that's beautiful.
I'm seeing a lot of people who don't know about Chet
My
Hanks.
friends.
Something
My
that I
friends.
can't believe I know about.
Lend me your ears. Citizens of Castle Super Beast, if you do not know, you need to understand that Chet Hanks, a.k.a. Chet Hayes, is Tom Hanks' other son that's not Colin Hanks. He's the one that didn't become an actor. He became a rapper.
Sure he did.
He originally blew up for saying the N-word and then making a video about why it was okay for him to say it and why his friends said it was okay for him to say it and that you just don't understand. And then, most recently, he blew up again because of White Boy Summer, because he said it's about to be a White Boy Summer. And then he blew up because he was at the Oscars, I want to say, and then he spit some fucking garbage patois into the camera. And then after that, he blew up one more time because in the middle of making a everybody get your vaccines, be safe out there, do your thing, he then went psych and then goes off on a rant about why fuck the vaccines if you're young and all that shit. And it's great. It's if you have 0 brain cells to dedicate to just a rabbit hole of the other Hank, go down the rabbit hole that is Chet Hayes. Because also, mind you, one of the first celebrities to get COVID was Tom Hanks.
Yeah.
And Rita. But never mind that. It's an amazing, profound waste of your time. Okay, he signed up with Soulja Boy. I didn't expect the crossing of the crossover episode, but here we are. That's amazing.
I thought when you were checking out stuff, like you saw that Chet and Soulja Boy are hanging out, I thought you had seen the Snoop Dogg news from a couple weeks ago about his streams. That is basically the funniest thing I ever heard.
I did not.
I'm going to link you to a PC Gamer article.
Okay. I was just amazed.
I'd like you to tell me about this article.
I mean, because the collaboration with the White Don Dada is, you know, it's going to be hard to beat. Snoop Dogg stream.
I'm glad you did not see this.
Oh, come on.
So the article is
Dogg stream.
I'll read it. Snoop Dogg's stream has been muted for a week, and his fans cannot tell him. So, Snoop Dogg was playing Madden for a week and put out 3 full streams with completely muted audio because he had been playing his own music in the background, which had Twitch auto-mute him. And is just like so high or so non-viewing of his own chat that he just did 3 full Madden streams until his friend Gene came over and fixed it for him.
Oh, fuck.
And apparently Gene had to fix Snoop's microphone also, so it definitely wasn't just the music.
Okay, he got it working. He
was like, yeah, so his friend Gene came over and fucked around with his microphone and stuff for 5 minutes, and then Snoop was back in business.
For a week!
548,000 people tuning in to watch him inaudibly play Madden while he has a few joints. People tried to let him know that he's muted, but his chat is emote only. So there's a photo here of just like nothing but chat going nay with the microphone symbol, trying to get his attention.
Oh, fuck me. That is the best thing I've ever heard. Oh, that makes me so happy. That's so good. Yeah, and people are just, I can imagine like the chat collectively trying to just, can we get him to understand? And he just can't do it.
There's something about the fact that it was the list is 5 to 48,000 people were watching that, so I can only imagine people are tuning in to see the moment that he realizes.
Yeah. Wow. Well, hey, man. Some streamers, some rappers take better to Twitch than others, you know? I hear
this is the second Snoop Dogg streaming story.
I hear T-Pain's doing good.
Was he lit up a joint and started smoking it with both hands visible while the game kept
yes. True. Right. My God, that's fucking great. Anyway, let's take some letters.
All right. You want to send in a letter? Maybe hold off for a couple weeks, I guess, because we're not going to be reading them. Not until, what, 3 weeks from now? Whatever. But if you want to send in a letter anyway, send it to castlesuperbeastmail@gmail.com.
Yeah, if I do see it, it will be at least by the 23rd. Oh, that's not right. The 20th.
People are saying that at one point he rage quit Street Fighter V and left the stream on for 8 hours after just walking away.
I did see him rage quit games before. I've seen Snoop rage quit. I didn't know he left it on. That's great. Oh man, no one help him. Like, let it be. Let it fucking happen.
Like, I remember there was a point where you came on muted, and I saw that you were muted, so I gave you a call on your phone to be like, dude, you have nothing coming through. And that was like, what, 3 minutes? 4 minutes or something? You imagine if I had seen that and went, nah. Nah, this is good like this. This is, yeah, okay.
All right.
Good for Gene, Snoop Dogg's friend Gene. Good
You
for
got
him.
you all. The thing is that I always assume the celebrity streamer has their streaming friend right there.
Yeah.
You assume he's always right there. That's the thing.
Well, Gene came over and set it up for him, and they don't live in the same house. So Gene checked in on his stream on the third night, was like, "Oh Jesus, shit."
Yeah. Sometimes something falls on your keyboard and it presses the start streaming button, and then your stream just starts itself up, you know? Who among us cast the first stone if you haven't streamed Darkness at 4 a.m.?
I haven't, but I've started muted like literally 30, 40 times.
There you go. Let's see here. If you got a mail, you want to send it, you can send it to castlesuperbeastmail@gmail.com. We got one coming in from Adam. Says, "Dear Wrong and Strong, got back
I'm
into
the
fighting
strong
games."
That's me.
For sure.
Yeah,
Got back into fighting games this year. After not touching one since MK9 on the 360, went from Third Strike to a keyboard on SF5 on pad. Something terrible happened. I was playing the games, getting the hang of things. I got pressured into a corner, and then I pressed R2 to block. Muscle memory from a decade prior kicked in, and I attempted to press right trigger, but now it was on my PS4 controller, and I had no block button. Needless to say, it was strange and frustrating to get back in, but now I'm enjoying Strive No Problems. Does your muscle memory totally fail you? Absolutely. Every time I went back to Sekiro and I was like, oh god, fuck, shit, jump, you know, and everything else, and playing Sekiro and Neo at the same time.
How thick, and they're visually kind of similar.
Brutal.
Oh, man. I had this happen last night real bad because I beat Prey, and then an hour, and I've been playing Prey nonstop all weekend, and then an hour later I went and hopped on to Mass Effect. And the first thing that I did in Mass Effect is I tried to click in on the left stick to dash. Not a function. Then I tried to hit up on the D-pad to turn on a flashlight, which isn't even a thing that exists in Mass Effect.
There you go.
Like, just, I think any game that doesn't have click in the left stick to dash is the worst culprit for me, because almost every game does have click in the left stick to sprint, and then you switch to a game that doesn't do that, and it's like, For me, it's sometimes you go back to older games and you try to hit that right stick to rotate the camera, and it's like, what the fuck do you think you're doing? There's no camera control here. This is an inert stick. Don't look at me.
You want to play Jet Set Radio, you're going to move in one direction and press the recenter the camera behind you button, and that's all you have. Fuck you, second stick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have had moments where I hit Y to jump in games that don't have a jump button if I've been playing a lot of FF14 that week.
Sure.
Just like, this game does not have a jump fucking mechanic. Why am I... Oh, okay.
We got one coming in from Civ Sarcast. How you doing? Says, Dear Willington and Patron 4000. Civ checking in. Got my first letter on here. Touches on the email from 2 weeks ago with the Iceborne player with the best gear because it made sense to them. Being strong and getting stronger in games is a most natural thing to players. There's a series I can think of where I leveled up past a point, the less I enjoyed the game, and it was Dark Souls. Because of how single and multiplayer are interwoven together, soul level affected my online experience. On my first DS3 run, I intentionally kept my level relative to each area, stopped if I got too high. This allowed me to match with more players for jolly co-op and some PvP. I beat Ashes of Ariandel at 100, allowing me to use DLC gear to help players with certain equipment and stuff. And as my level got higher, there were less people playing the game, especially NG+. So I wasted time being summoned and got bored. In DS2, I made a character that was the Iron Keep guide, where I capped my level at 85 to 90 and served as a tour guide for players to navigate through the Iron Keep. It's my favorite area of the game. Many traps and things that players tend to miss. Because there's no voice chat, you use gestures to help people with stuff, and guiding them to do through the area was the most fun thing I ever did in DS2. So those are two instances of where getting stronger allows you to enjoy the game way more, but it's probably because of how Soul games handle online play. Yeah, so the ability to serve as a guide can make being over-leveled a fun thing, but some people also just naturally enjoy being over-leveled, like Min, for example. It's not always a negative by default.
I'm one of those people. I like being powerful in games, but it depends on what I'm going to that game for. So being overpowered in Devil May Cry sucks because
you can't combo things.
Enemies aren't forcing me to engage with the game's mechanics, so I can just do whatever I want, and there's no joy here.
It turns it into Muso.
Yeah, like one of my issues with Prey is that like I got so strong that enemies meant nothing to me anymore. And it's like, well, the middle part of that game was actually the most enjoyable, and it's any game that gives you a number that can go up and make you stronger runs into flow problems. Flow being perceived difficulty of task and difficulty of task versus perceived competence and real competence. There's a sweet spot there where you're being pretty challenged, but not to the limit. So you can really engage and you totally immerse yourself. And
no, if you ever, I think just to elaborate and clarify, the point being, if you ever swung your sword in Devil May Cry and your sword did more damage at the end of the game than it did at the beginning, and things died faster, you would have less fun with the game.
Yeah, so in Devil May Cry, what they do is they increase encounter complexity and difficulty to accommodate for the supposed increase in player expertise per level. Which is why when you beat Devil May Cry, the last thing you want to do is go through the first couple levels on the same difficulty, because all of a sudden they're boring as shit.
Now you got new difficulties to unlock that are going to exactly compensate for that. Yeah. So the specific thing in that last email before was the new player who's playing for the first time, who doesn't know what's interesting or attractive about the game yet and not sure if they're like it. Then you're forming your opinion off of the over-leveled version of the game. You don't even know there's a struggle, and then you have a complete warped thing, and then you bounce off of it. You know, that's a very different experience for sure.
Flow's really tough because every player's competency is different. Everybody's experience is different. Everybody's reaction of those competencies and experiences and physical abilities is going to change per situation. Like I find, I like to think that I'm good at multitasking, but I'm terrible at slide puzzles. So if I was going to Witness is a cool game that I can't play for shit, because as I was learning the mechanics of those types of puzzles, my actual ability to solve them was not increasing. I was still at the beginning level because I suck at that kind of puzzle. The
biggest difference between Doom and Doom Eternal is the change to game flow, which resulted in a lot of people having a lot of people hating the new flow and a lot of people loving the new flow and having a preference over one game or the other. And in both cases, I'm like, I like both, but they're doing two separate things. The loop that you have to do in Doom Eternal, if you don't enjoy that process, if that's not a thing that you dig, you kind of
die.
The whole game is pointless. Just quit immediately. Like, you're not gonna like what the game asks you to do. You know, later
Pokemon's a really good example of this issue, because if you're not a child, most Pokemon games are going to be way too easy, and thus you're not going to feel challenged at all, and so you're not going to have as good of a time. So what do adults who are familiar with Pokemon do in order to really get a good challenge out of their new Pokemon game when it comes out? They run some kind of bullshit challenge run.
Sure.
They
or you
go,
play, or
okay,
PvP
I'm going to
it.
Nuzlocke it, or I'm going to whatever.
PvP.
Yeah, but I'm talking about just going through
it. Yeah.
thing.
At the same time, Kirby is a great example of it's always going to be too easy, but then the challenge comes on later unlocks and things that you get to. But even then, it's like it's just meant to be an enjoyable breeze experience.
Kirby kind of sidesteps that because playing Kirby, even I'll admit that playing Kirby is just pleasant.
Mm-hmm.
It's a nice, pleasant experience that feels good, and it's got nice colors and sound and music, and it's just nice.
It always has an ass kicking like boss or segment or thing that you eventually unlock or challenge, but like it's usually not like insanely brutal. It's just like okay, you've gotten to a point where it's gonna be a little tough. Yeah. So there you go. Let's see here. Got one from Ryan who says, "Hey, Willie and Pat, you addressed this during your conversation about Jacko, but I wanted to explore further. Where do you think the personality draw? Where do you think you should personally draw the line between changing a character's move list and turning them into a new roster slot versus separating that for a brand new character? How different is too different? I'm a fan of Jacko from Rev 2, and I don't like her minion gimmick, so I never used it. I had plenty of fun with her other moves. While I would have liked to see minions further reduced, I also enjoyed the revised Strive version, but I can understand that fans of the character would not enjoy some of those changes. I fear for a similar situation I had was with Ibuki from Third Strike to SF4 to SF5. I mained her in Third Strike, enjoyed her translation to 4, but I didn't like her in 5. Took away a lot of the moves I liked, replaced with new tech I didn't enjoy, so I stopped playing her. I felt she was changed enough that she might as well have been a brand new character. I agree with Pat that story justifications for removing characters are irrelevant, and I extend that sentiment to the reasons for reducing a move list.
That's really interesting because you can tell that certain developers feel much more strongly about this than others.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, Street Fighter characters, despite being your example, change relatively little over time compared to, let's say, King of Fighters, where, like, almost every version of a King of Fighters game is going to be a different character from every other version. Is Iori good this year? I don't know. What fucking year is it?
Yeah. So, I mean, the fact that when they made CVS 1, they had to make EX get versions of the characters is like a perfect example of like, okay, so we made the Terry Bogard but some of you might not like that Terry Bogard, so we have EX Terry, who has all the other moves we didn't give him, because these are the rest of the things he has in other years, and I don't know, take your pick, I don't think there's such a thing as too different. I'm okay with going as far as you need to. I'm okay with reinventing a character's kit and changing them entirely if that's what you want to do with your design. It's just a matter of like,
I know people that looked at Geef in SF5 and went, no banishing flat, fuck this.
Sure, right? But sometimes you reinvent a character and like it depends on whether or not you end up with something that's fun to do. I've had reinventions that I've hated, and I've had reinventions that I've liked. I think Jury's changes to SF5 are interesting. There's some stuff there that like I get why they made it different. And like overall, I think I prefer her 4 version, but I kind of get that they wanted to like reinvent it a bit. When Banishing Flat is like like a legacy move that like makes a huge difference to how the character sort of plays out. Jin in Tekken is like on plot reasons, unlearn your entire style, here's a new character, but we know that some of you still want Jin, so
they made a new character specifically to be old Jin.
And that'll be that forever. You'll always have old Jin. You don't have to worry about it, you know?
Well, yeah, Jin's cool and all, but I don't care. Give me Devil Jin every single day of the week because that's the moveset I want to play.
Yeah. The things that I enjoy about Makoto had to change when she came to Street Fighter 4. You know, her rush punch Hayate can't be as fast as it was.
Man,
I get
nuts.
I know, but that's what I like. That's what's a lot of fun, is that exploding dash punch that's really quick. I enjoyed that. So that being nerfed was like a definite fun down, you know? But like if you build her around other things, like they mentioned with Ibuki, then it's like, yeah, you know, you might create something that is like, oh, well, personally, I still like the character, but it's just the main thing I enjoy is different there. She can still do her dash up the character command throws and shit. But I don't mind the reinvention personally. I don't think there's ever a two different. It's just like make sure that the end result is not like just a change because the old version was too OP. Make sure that what you reinvent into is fun in its own right.
So, I mean, the question is, at what point do you make a different character instead of just, you know, keeping it within the same character? And I guess it's like, how much do you want to change it? Right? And that's going to depend on any particular person. But if you're going to change a character like more than like 40% of like their total move list, including normals, just make somebody new. There's no point. Ken's a really good example. I think Ken is at the absolute limit of SF5 Ken, the absolute limit of what they could get away with and still be Ken.
Yeah. I think there was a theory that like evil Ryu from Street Fighter 4 more or less became Nikali. He's got the stomps. He still has a DP, but there's like there's a theory about like how it's like because evil Ryu is Shoto plus these things, you know.
I can kind of see that, yeah.
As a like let's turn him into his own thing, and then now Kage exists, who is super different from original Ryu. Like the new evil Ryus and Akuma styled characters are like being differentiated more extremely over time across each of these games. Yeah, you when you see the way Kage fights, like he's nothing at all like the old evil Ryus used to be, you know. But yeah, again, it's just like I don't mind the reinvention that makes it like really fun, you know. I'm trying to think of like an example where like a subsystem that was fundamental to the character changed, and
I mean Ibuki's bomb shit.
The count of the kunai counter, right?
Yeah, and Birdie, I think, is a good example. His food stuff,
right,
dramatically changes him.
Yeah,
but then there's stuff like an example I keep coming back to because it's the easiest one, and it's like, man, Baiken is like really similar character between some versions, but just can you do this move on the ground or not turns her into a completely different character.
Yeah, but Baiken from Exerd to the old Guild to Double X is fucking insanely different. Yeah. Like it's a reinvention of her entire like game plan, because her whole thing used to be like on alpha counters, basically like on block I can do all my special moves, and now it's just like no, I have to manually catch you and then do something. So anyway, there you go.
Personally, I don't have a problem with it, but every time it's happened so far, I'm never in a place where I'm like, I fucking hate this new version. And it will happen to me eventually. I actually did. It was Tekken 4. And Tekken 4 is a really good example because Jin in Tekken 4 is fucking busted. He's so good. But I didn't care. I still wanted Tekken 3 Jin.
So sometimes it happens across the entire fucking game, like BlazBlue tag battle, where every character is coming in as a shell of their complete self because they're all simplified, basic versions of what they used to be. Like a lot of the Persona characters have to be way, way simplified, you know? So I'm like, so it's just like, don't, you know, the whole thing, don't play your mains because you're just going to be upset. If you play a Unial main or a P4 main, you're going to be like, oh God, why can't I do this thing? And it's like, because they have a third of what they used to. And in the end, the game found its place and like still has its own like craziness in the form of the tag system. But the feeling of what those characters used to be, what your Akihiko or your Waldstein or whatever you wanted, like all the missing shit was all you could feel for the first fucking half of that game's life, you know, I'd say. And then you kind of go like, all right, it's something else entirely. Make your gameplay based around the tag system instead. But I really did, yeah, that everyone across that was upset at like their mains feeling worse, you know. Cool. All right, that's good enough. I'm satisfied with that. I think.
Okay, good. We did it. Good podcast.
I think we can.
Excellent.
Yeah. No, that'll tide you guys over for.
Don't go work for Blizzard. I hear they're a bunch of jerks.
Did we leave them with 3 weeks worth of food in the puppy chow?
Nope.
If you guys need more chow, you can go over to the Woolly Versus channel and press the little puppy chow button, and then the chow will come out.
Oh, and I'm still streaming over twitch.tv/PatStaresAt. That's not going to change.
Yeah. And yeah, JoJo Part 8 ended, and Part 9 is probably going to be called JoJo Lands. But
I can't wait for people that don't tend to watch my streams but watch yours go, fine, I'll go watch Pat's stream and go, dude, this sucks. What the hell? God.
Everybody take care. I'll see you guys in a bit.